What's up, and welcome back to the channel. You are listening to Ninja Knight. This is Real Talk number 4. 4 shows of this so far, this being the fourth one. I'm very excited about this yet again. I come back every week with more information, about what's going on offline and online, because it's an important venture that we're in right now to see exactly what's going on, the twists and turns that things are taking. I start off this stream with a bit of positivity, as I always do. The movement is starting to grow. It's grown considerably, and I absolutely love to see it. I'm going to show you some Instagram videos tonight. So I have some from Off Grid Ireland, I believe, and a couple of other ones as well too that I'm hoping to show you this evening. That will obviously shed a bit of light on what's going on and what you are not being shown. I've talked to a couple of people over the last few days, and they've been saying, "How's things? How's everything getting on with you?" I'd say, "Yeah, good, yeah. Have you heard about what's going on in Ballybracken?" And they're all looking and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're not still looking at RTE now, are you?" And they all look and they go, yeah." And I say, "Well, you're not clued into what's going on at all." So the first thing I want to say is very positive things that are happening in Ballybrack. It's great to see the people out there and standing together, most importantly, because people have had enough of this invasion. They've now firmly seen where people in uniform stand. And as I keep saying to people, massive fan of law and order. I'm a huge fan of law and order. I'm someone that wants to support the police. But at this moment in time, they're not giving us anything for them to support. You're seeing these guys in uniform and ladies in uniform go around places and barricade and block people, natives, from stopping these invaders coming into our country. And these guys are standing there looking at this. I thought it was the job of the Gardaí to be policing the likes of the borders, wasn't it? And yet then there's people going in behind them in vans, in jeeps, in minibuses, and in buses and coaches that are not of this land and have come here illegally. So what's the story with that? Now, as Jim Caviezel has said, and I've said it to you last week, when you don't have any borders, you don't have a country. And currently at this moment in time, when you just look around the place, how could you? How could you expect us to have a country when you don't have a functioning democracy in this country? You don't have a functioning judicial system. So it makes sense then when you go, oh, okay, once you understand that, and you understand that the political sphere of things are all over the place, and what's beautiful to hear, and I'm going to explain it here tonight as well, is the nationalists now starting to come together and talk to each other. Great idea. Some people not playing ball and doing silly things as well. We'll talk about that tonight in tonight's show, because it was in the Twitter spaces during the week that was set up by Toby. I know Toby does be in here in the chat, and I know Mick that does be in here in the chat as well. They had Satirical Soldier on. They had Philip Dwyer on. They had Herman Kelly on. And it's great to see this crossover, and that's something that the left fear. And I know people that say, well, you'd have to talk about the left in that sort of way, and how come you do that? And I'd say, well, look, if I spent a stream talking about evil and I kept using that word, it's not going to be picked up well. That's why people use certain directions, I'll just say, on things like that. So you know what I'm saying there. But going back on to the more important point is that you're accumulating victories, and they are small victories, but they are victories nonetheless, and they are making the likes of people in power do ridiculous things. There's more interest being shown in hurty fifis and hurty words than there is in the country being invaded. When you start to get people locked into that process, they know exactly what's going on. They also have a fairly clear idea of how we are being treated in your own country by what is supposed to be your own people, your people in uniform. And lads, we have a beauty of a video tonight here from Off Grid Ireland that came from, I believe, Dunleary. And there was a reporter at Dunleary. And I just want to point out, I will in the video anyway, how a female member of An Garda Síochána behaved. It's very interesting stuff. There was a brilliant video that was put up by Ferg, the powerful Fergus Power that was being here in the chat. We've been talking about him for a long time. It's great to see him make his way over here. And Ferg was well known because people were looking at Ferg standing outside Mountjoy when he was cheering for Enoch Burke, when he was standing up for Enoch Burke, and rightfully so. And he was talking about free speech. To be quite honest with you, Ferg is someone that I would like to see potentially run in his area. I think he'd be a very good candidate. And especially when you're starting to see now what's happening, which is Ferg is turning up with other guys to places that are earmarked to be putting people into, fellas from other countries, by the way, military-aged males in particular, and people that are coming in here and siphoning off the system. Neither matters to me, really, because at the end of the day, I don't think we shouldn't have people coming into this country siphoning off the system that you're working hard for, and then you're going to be turned around and told, no, you have to work till 67. and they're going to try and kick their on until you're 70? Do you want you to be working when you're still in the coffin, lads? Like, no, that's not going to happen here. We're not going to be looking at Kelechi Ahmed and the lads and these spoofers from this blue and yellow country coming into our place and taking money that's supposed to be allotted to us for when we grow old. That's not happening, and we don't want that. We don't want to be seeing billions sent out in foreign aid to countries that have nothing to do with us, and we shouldn't be sending money anywhere near there. You've got nonsense being peddled now as well that the Irish government are trying to get the farmers to cull thousands and in the hundreds of thousands of cows here in this country in the name of the weather. Absolute insanity. So you've got people at the controls here now at the moment, and I don't know what people above them have on them, because you have to have something on these people for them to be doing what they're doing. It's as simple as that. These people don't go and do these things just out of interest or something that they just thought up. And I don't think money is enough. I don't think money is enough to turn these people to where they are. Some of them, but I don't think it is for some of the ones that are pushing all of this nonsense and pushing it to the point in time where you're seeing Gript asking very logical, sensible questions, and these people standing on a podium talking absolute brown like Helen McEntee was during the week. You can see the disgust in their face when Gript are standing up and asking the question. You know, I posted a poll to Ben. I've posted a poll to Ben before, and I've said, look, here's, I think nearly, what was it, 1,000 votes on it that said that they weren't in agreement with McEntee. I was like, use that. And that's what people should be doing. They should be doing their own polls all the time and sending them into Gript Media and going, look how many more people disagree with this nonsense. And obviously as well, people that are emailing. So you've got Ferg that does be there, and he put out a great video, and it was him and another chap there turning up to a site where they're doing some works on it, and he's asking them questions. And you know what I love about it? And this is the thing. I said it, I think maybe a year ago, and you're starting to see it now, and I love to see it. I said about a year ago, you need a git. I said this. I said, you need a git. You need one of these fellas that's tough as nails, and one of these fellas that's just taking no mess and that understands what's going on, understands the shafting that's been going on for the last few years and the majority of years before that, and isn't taking no or any messing for an answer. I saw that video that Ferry put out, and he put out a video of him confronting the fella on the site, and your man started to shrink. He came out with a big bulldog at the show. What are you doing here? And Fergie's like, don't be talking to us like that. Who do you think you are? We live in this area. And I tell you what, your man's at the show changed real quick. That's the type of dude that we need in running this country. That's what I'm saying to you. That's why I like Philip, where Philip has a different angle. He said it during the week. He was like, well, I'm way more affable, I suppose. And, you know, and I like the way Philip will tease out people, and he'll also, you know, ask questions that's making them think. That's something that's very linked in with Philip, and I like that, and that's why a lot of people like Philip. But going back on that, what I'm saying, you have different characters, and that's the thing. You need people with character. So Fergie's a different character from Philip. You've got Gavin Pepper that's there as well too. That's a different character. I like what he's doing as well, and I like the vast majority of what people are doing once they're on the nationalist and patriotic Republican side. You know, not everyone is going to agree, and I think it's something that was really well said during the week by Philip. And he was saying that people need to be sitting down, nationalists, whatever party you're in, and start to look at these different areas strategically. Like, I'm looking at Finglas, for example. I like what Gavin Pepper's been doing. I like what Gavin Pepper's been saying. And to me, it wouldn't make too much sense for someone to be running a candidate in Finglas if Gavin's running there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it'd make more sense. How do we get on in Clondalkin? Is there anyone there? Oh, there isn't? Okay, put someone there. Like, this is what happened with Owen O'Brien. I just want you to understand that. They moved him around, what was it, 2 or 3 different constituencies before he was elected. Do you see what I'm saying? And now he's standing outside the door being asked by a woman, what is a woman? He can't answer her. Do you know what I mean? And that's what people need to be doing now. And these parties need to sit down and think about it. Because here's the thing. And this is where you have to separate this egotistical narcissism from people. You really do. I would much rather 15 different national... Now, it's not my... Obviously, it's obviously not my ideal situation. You could have 15 different nationalist parties sitting in the doll rather than all the lefty ones that are sitting there. Do you know what I mean? They may disagree and stuff like that. That's fine. But I would rather have that than all the lefty ones that are there. And that's what the left prey on, by the way. Let's not forget. They try to make people have barriers between each other. Oh, I wouldn't be seen with them. I wouldn't talk to them. That's what they do. They're like gossiping schoolgirls. And that's why the men are like that as well too, because they're all betas. They're all the same dudes that you knew from school. I know Zoe Gilday said that here last week, but I've been saying it before as well. Which is, these are the guys that were sitting down the back of the class going, oh, did you hear what he said about you? And they're trying to instigate problems between people. Whereas what needs to be happening is, which what most people did when they were in school, they used to look and say, what's that clown saying down there? Well, did he said something about you? Yeah, all right, Jack Grant. Shut up, you. Let's say you in PE. You know, you know what I mean? And that's what used to happen. And this is the same playbook that these people have used in real life. Oh my God, Philip, I wouldn't be talking to Herman. Herman, I wouldn't be talking to Philip. Nonsense. Why would you? Because why would you listen to these people? Sit down, talk to each other, which they are doing, and come up with a plan. It's as simple as that. I would much rather see the likes of People Before Profit and the Social Democrats, which is a high possibility, lads. You have to look at it like this: ejected from the door, gone, finished, and have the likes of the Irish Freedom Party, Ireland First, the National Party, whoever it might be, in their places. That's a starter. Do you know what I'm saying? You ain't going to get that from anybody like the likes of Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin would be made a fool of if people were in there with speaking time. You would actually have Sinn Féin members that would wake up. Like, I've been talking to Sinn Féin members. I've said this to you before. I know people that are long-time supporters of Sinn Féin, and they treat it like it's a football club. Can't see what's going on. You know, I can admit to you that the likes of Manchester United at the moment is a mess. They're getting the recruitment strategy right now. But for the likes of, 10 years, they haven't been. So this is what's exactly happened with Sinn Féin. And some of these guys think, oh, that's all right, I'll just stick with it until it becomes normal. Like, I know Sinn Féin supporters that think that Sinn Féin have a master plan of, we're going to pretend to be woke, lads. We're going to pretend to be wanting to be in Europe. And then when we get in power, we're going to whip it all away. We're going to tell everybody now we're still super duper Republicans, patriots and nationalists. You haven't been watching what's going on at all. And that's the problem. And this is why you're having a big issue with the likes of the state broadcaster as well. So the state broadcaster is in serious problem and in serious trouble, because now they're turning towards wanting to make it a tax here in this country. And then they become state-funded media. So then I'm looking forward to that little label being attached to them, you know, just for the jollies of that. And I get me kicks out of that one, because they've one of two options now. They either let it go altogether, and they're not going to do that, because what sort of propaganda would they be able to push out upon people? Then none, because it's not working anymore. So they need that public broadcaster. Now, here's where I think things come from here, or things go from here. You've got a big issue for under a hand, and you've got people that are in the real world that realize, and younger people now are very intelligent. And when I say that, I'm talking about people that are in their 60s below, okay? And I'm not saying people 60 above aren't intelligent. What I'm saying is people that are 60 below now are starting to become very media savvy. And Philip Dwyer hit that nail on the head. He did there only the other night. He was talking about it, and he was saying, listen, I didn't really know anything that was going on here until a couple of years ago. And now I do. And now I know that, like, how we've all been part of the problem. Talking about Italian 90 and all that. And he's like, the good times were while all the shadowy stuff was happening in the background that was just ignored. He's like, now it's not happening anymore, because younger people are taking it up and saying, here, hang on, I'm not having this. And that's where the state broadcaster has a big problem then, because you've got a lot of people that are in my generation, for example, and as I said, 60 and below, that are media savvy, that don't watch any of this stuff. And that number's only grown. I've told other people, I share things with people all of the time. Simple. And it might not be every story that captures their imagination. It might not be every story that captures them to question something. But there are a number of them that people are going, yeah, that does make sense there now. People that have gotten to a certain point in time in life, obviously, as well, too, just want to just ride off into the sunset, an awful lot of them. And others then just want to not admit what they've been told for a very long time, have been completing with their lives. But to me, I've seen enough throughout my lifetime to be going, well, I didn't think when I went to the certain camps, for example, that were in Germany, when I used to look at them, and as a young boy, I used to go, that doesn't make sense how everybody just complied with this. I kind of understand it now, because I've seen what happened in Australia. But at the same time, I was looking at it going, that's mad. That's mad, that is. Anyway, looking at this point in time, I think not only that is going on, but I also know myself, when I seen politicians throughout the years, and the Irish attitude for a very long time was, it doesn't matter if these politicians are lying to you. They're lying to you anyway, and we have to accept that. Well, you see, Orange Man in America sort of upset the apple cart, and whatever you might think of him, there was an awful lot of truths that he said that started to get this ball rolling, that an awful lot of other people went, that's good to tell the truth there. And people are getting behind that. You see this week, just as a talking point for the wider world, you've got Disney that has lost hundreds of millions now, I think close to $1 billion now, on woke projects. You've got Anheuser-Busch that's about ready to fold because people are not purchasing it anymore. And you've got this guy called Jason Aldean. Have you seen his song? I did it tonight there on my Instagram. I was out to link in the song. Try this in a small town. Oh my God. And that's gotten 6 million views, close to 7 in 6 days. 1 million views a day. And they're trying to cancel this dude. They're like, oh, no, he's an istaphobe. And people are looking at it and listening. And they're going, oh, hang on, he's just saying don't mess around. He's actually saying in the song, mess around and find out. He's not saying go and do this. Not like your gang have been doing. The gang on the left there every single week have been telling people, yeah, go out there and cause problems. Not this dude. This dude is going, if you're going to mess with me, I'm going to mess back. And you ain't going to like it. But it's a brilliant message. I love it. I have to say, it's absolutely phenomenal. So look, as I always say at the start of this show, if you have a comment or anything like that, make sure you at Ninja Knight in the chat. I much appreciate that. I do. And it allows me to get through the chat quicker and obviously easier. Now, we'll also say as well, too, the chat has grown every week, and it is difficult to keep up. And I know that kind of peters off and loses people's interest. So I am going to try and really link in with people that are just going at Ninja Knight and trying to avoid some of the comments that I do find interesting as I'm going along the way. It is difficult when you're running the big operation that it is now. I mean, like last week, I think we had 180 people in here and lots of comments. And I was like, wow, this is really overwhelming. Sometimes I get about 1,500 comments. Now, that's a good complaint. You know, I remember I did streams and there was 10 people here. So to say that there's 180 people here listening in, I appreciate that. And I know that there's probably about 10 or 15 people listening here with gritted teeth that just listen to some of this and either listen throughout the whole thing just angry because they're on the left and they bought into all this stuff. Listen, you're a fan. If you're listening to this more than 2 minutes, you're a fan. So thanks. So anyway, we've got your own reading in here. It says, how you ninja only in missed the start that. I don't think I was too long on now in fairness to Ram, so I appreciate that there, man. I think I was on 2 or 3 minutes. It'll only be our 101 first, and the file says, good evening. They want Paddy and Bridie to go out and work only to grow old in the country with folk who look nothing like us. A constant eye, ear, sore. That's an important point, and what I mean by that is you're looking at countries, say, for example, like Japan and China, for example, just to take them as fairly solid examples. They have a population that is majority looking like them, okay? And they seem to run things fairly efficiently, particularly in Japan. Now, the Chinese, on the other hand, not a place that you would want to be living at all with the social credit score nonsense that they're at. But ultimately, these people have culture, history, and traditions that they're not worried about. They're not worried about any of this gender stuff or anything like that. Like, their military ads say as much. They're like, this is all nonsense. They've been incarcerating and laughing at people as well, too, and telling them that they have certain illnesses with the brain over the last few years when they're on the likes of the rainbow train, we'll just say. So that's how they perceive things over there. But they ain't crying out for diversity or nothing like that. They're not saying that this place called China is too Chinese, though. Sure, they're not. They're not saying that about Japan either. Are they saying that about Nigeria? No. Are they saying about Somalia? No. Well, what's happening now at the moment in the wider world? Well, Dricus du Plessis is getting a lot of criticism. Is he? Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a South African fighter. Well, Israel Adesanya said he's not really African. Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So Israel Adesanya, what's the story with him? Well, he's a black man. And Dricus du Plessis, he's a white man. Well, that's interesting how they view things, isn't it? That's very, very interesting. But this country is being overwhelmed, and anybody that wants to tell you, the Chinese, the Asians, the Indians, the Hispanics, they're a minority. The Irish are soon to be a minority in their own country. Did you not just see what the most popular name in Galway City was for 2022? It was Mohammed. You know what I mean? That should raise some eyebrows, no? Well, here's the thing. People are wising up to that, and I think that that's a good thing. And look, as I do always say, people have their own lives and people make their own choices. But you're actively seeing this sort of marketing be targeted at people, and particularly at women online as well, too. It's funny. I always say it. And you see the likes of the Love Island nonsense. And I always say it's interesting who people pair up with on that program, isn't it? Very interesting, is all I'm saying. Just from a societal point of view, looking at that, I just go, behavior is very interesting there. So, keeping going on, we have Emmanuel Godson says, Ninja, give Levi a shout out. He is our nationalist mascot. Good to see Levi here in the chat there, Emmanuel. Excellent to see you here, man. Okay, so we keep going, and we see Derek McManus in there. Says, remember, guys, to at Ninja Knight in the chat. Much appreciated, man. Frank Barron says, saw Carl Benjamin talk to Viva Fry. Fry's channel had a number of technical faults. However, Sargon's was good. I don't trust that Viva Fry character, though, Frank, and I'll tell you why. He is one of the club, in my opinion, and he was one of the ones that was very interested. He said it on streams as well. He was talking with Salty, and he was saying, "Oh, I want to talk to the people at Rumble." And then all of a sudden, they had rules made up there, and one of them was you can't criticize certain people. And it's not the usual people you think of, it's the people that Kanye told you that you can't be criticizing. And funnily enough, this week on Rumble, they had a fella on the Fresh and Fit podcast, very good podcast, and the guys that are there talk a lot of sense. And they bring on a lot of these women, in particular, these OnlyFans women, and they tell them what's what. And they are a very good podcast for masculinity, I would say. And the guy on it called Nick, well, not only was that podcast up for about 24 hours, it was taken down because Nick was on it and Nick was saying things that some people didn't like. So you just got to keep watching those type of things. And what I'd say to you is that Rumble is good for the time being. I was talking to Grant Torino during the week. He was in there during the Twitter Spaces. It's great to talk to him. You know, one of the OGs, if not the OG, I suppose, with all of this sort of stuff. And he was talking about who Rumble have just gotten a donation from, and a massive one at that. And I was like, oh, well, you know, you can... it's curtains there for them. But at the meantime, it's a good thing to be there. I always say it to you, and I'll say it to you again, Gab is king when it comes to these social media companies, 100%. Frank Barron says there was 888 in the live chat last week. Let's get the viewer, the high viewer figure over 200 and total viewers during the live stream over 1,000. Yeah, I'd appreciate that, man. Much appreciated. Rocka says, good evening, Ninja, and everyone in the chat tonight. Good to see you. Derek Man says, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. Good to see YouTube is messing with the notifications again. Did you not get notified? Did you not? Always the same. It's always the same. But look, last week's stream did really well, so I'm not really that concerned. People usually seem to just tune in anyway. I do that with a lot of people that I watch, that I just click in. I don't get recommended anymore. You know, it's amazing when you click one video for certain people. You know, this No Jumper character, this Adam 22 character, and you get notifications to bits about everything to do with that. Absolute peak degeneracy. But nothing for anyone that I've been clicking in, you know, even the PBD podcast, you know, Patrick Bet David, Valuetainment, getting way less suggestions for them. And that's, you just got to do it. Unfortunately, with this platform, you have to search people that you like. You know, it's not great, but it is what it is. Frank Barnes says YouTube doing shifty things as usual. Derek Man says, if you have a question for our house, please use @Ninja Night in the chat. Thanks very much. Much appreciated on that one. Kevin Mike Mohammed says, Ninja Fingers tomorrow at 2 p.m. A peaceful gathering is taking place to discuss local native Irish getting replaced from accessing local housing because of the competition from non-Irish migration. Now, that is a very good point and comment there, Kevin, because that's another thing that's going to bug people. When you start to see your own people displaced in their own area and displaced to another area, you know, I know an awful lot of Irish people when they do, that are moving out to the likes of Navan, and they're moving out to the likes of Kildare and various other places there because they can't afford to live in Dublin. And, you know, look, you know, tribalism exists and we all have a laugh about that. But that's what's happening to begin with. So when you live in the likes of Thurles, or if you live in the likes of Carlingford or wherever like that, it might be somewhere down the country, and you're seeing the odd dub pop up, that's going to become more frequent. And then that's not only going to become more frequent, but then you're going to have Kelechi and Mohammed and the boys arriving down. Now, the only thing is that an awful lot of those people don't seem to wish to stay there. They want to be in Dublin because Dublin is a very big city and you can get away with a lot of nonsense. Up here, you can kind of disappear. Whereas that's the beauty about countryside villages and indeed towns. I love them. Listen, I'd love nothing more to live in the woods in Wicklow or something like that. You know what I mean? Up on a mountain or something like that. That'd be my... that's what I'd love. Honest to God. But the point of this is that other people don't feel like that. And when you have people arriving in this country, you've got many people that come here that are looking to engage in criminal behaviour, and they don't want to be doing that down in countryside places because they get found out and known too quickly. Dublin's so big and so open that these people are having a great time because they're going, sure, look, if I'm causing nuisance there in Tallow, I can head across there to Drimna and cause nuisance there too. If I get turfed out there, I can go over to Clondalkin and Crumlin. You know what I'm saying? The place is open to them and they're going, sure, I'm still around, doesn't matter. Whereas being in these other places is not appealing to them. So that's, you know, I suppose one way you can say, well, I appreciate the likes of different countryside counties not building themselves up. That's why Limerick and Cork are starting to see problems now as well. And those problems are going to amplify. And not those problems, I'm not saying that they haven't, but they have amplified in these countryside places. So going back to what you were saying there, Kevin, it's important that people are starting to view these things and starting to look at these things. And what you'll start to see, and I'm telling you, now I'm not encouraging, I just want to make this clear, I'm not encouraging or supporting or endorsing any of this, okay? But what I'm saying is, what I do on this channel is cause and effect, and I explain this. You're going to get people that are going to view that and they're going to say, well, for example, my Jane can't get a house in Finglas. Well, I'm going to be outside the place that she should have gotten, and that they've wellied in fellas there from the likes of Somalia, and I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be standing outside demanding that they leave. You're going to get another version of push her out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because people are going to get like that because they're viewing it across the different sides of the world. They're viewing that same sort of behavior here that's happening here. People feel like they're being muscled out around communities, houses being bought, and then next of all, there's about 15 families living in it, and they start to disperse then amongst the area, and you're being, quite frankly, outnumbered. And people feel intimidated like that because, as people, as humans, we're tribal. And the animal world is very much so the same. So, like I said, in an ideal world, and I keep saying it all the time, in an ideal world, everyone will get on, but that's not the case. And in reality, people don't get on and people have differences. You had the left admitting to that, by the way. Philip calls it fascism against Ireland, that page that was admitting to it there. I did a video on it. They blocked me down on Twitter, which was hilarious because it was like, that's how you know you've done a good job and a good roast of these people, that they block you. And I was like, this person's actually saying that these people don't mix together culturally in this one building. And that building's massive, in my opinion. It's not a street. Do you know what I'm saying? And what are they going to do when they live beside each other? You know what I mean? You've just actually confirmed what we've been saying for a very long time. Not that we care about your opinion or anything like that, but it's just funny that even the most, I would say, loosely tied to reality individuals are able to see now, this is a bad thing that's happening. And like that, as I keep saying, it ain't going to be me or you that's going to be treated badly by these people. It's going to be like those lefties, because they're going to realise that, like back in school, they were the dweeb, they were the nerd, they were the dork, and that they are the person then that people are going to look and go, I'll have a bit of that there. So, like I keep saying, interesting times ahead. But Finglas, fair play to Finglas standing together. I think it's good. Sav is in here, says evening. Chat is ground too. We've seen that there from Frank Byrne. Yeah, chat is massively grown. It's grown to a very big number, which is crazy. I see new names every week. Mars Bar 123 says, hi all, good to see you here. Insubordinate Guy says, hi guys, pigs have always been baddies. Sean Max says, no advanced notification. Yeah, well, look, makes sense, it does. There's 150 in here now, so I'm happy with that. Same numbers as last week. That's all good, no problem. Derek Man says, like, share, and subscribe. Please, folks, support the channel and spread the word. Much appreciated, man. Mars Bar 123 says, who's running for D7 and D11? That's a good shout there as well. There are areas, obviously, that are looking for people, Fergus Powers in here. The Powerful Fergus is in here. Ninja Knight, hello, brother, and you beautiful Patriots. Just home from Ballybrack to make the show going back up later. The community and Irish spirit is alive and kicking in this area. Beautiful thing to say. Fantastic, and fair play to you, Ferg. I love the stuff that you guys are doing. I really do. It's absolutely phenomenal to see you guys that are up there. And very importantly, by the way, which is hugely important and something I will keep saying, I think that Philip really drove forward. People recording what's going on. You've got Gardaí now that are on video multiple times now doing things that they shouldn't be doing and getting involved in. I'm not going to show the video tonight, obviously, because it's perceived negatively on this platform, but I'll just say to the chat, did you see the video of a man that was full of few jars there on O'Connell Street and the guard on the bus? The guard was about to get it until your man jumped off the bus and started to wrestle your man to the ground. What's the story of the control and restraint there from the guard? Did he not do that? What's the story there? Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of people were in the comments there of that video and they were like, I wouldn't have helped out the guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're at that point in time now, lads. You're at that point in time where a lot of people wouldn't help. And to be quite honest with you, when I looked at that video, the first thing I said to myself was, the guy that got off first of all, the guard was totally in the wrong, because to me it looked like he initiated the problem he did. Now that'd be down to I suppose a court or whatever like that to decide. Because if I was the dude that was full of few jars that just wanted me phone back and that was all, well, I'd be looking at the guard what he did first, and then I'd be looking at the fella that got off the bus and decided to rugby tackle me to the ground, because is that not assault? I was like, the fella that's full of few jars then was probably onto a winner when it comes to this. And like, whether you might perceive that as being right or wrong, that's the sort of state that things are at now, where people are going, yeah, no, the guards have been up to all sorts for the last few years, and your man did something very out of order, in my opinion, in the uniform. And then the dude then that was running along the white jeans did something that was completely out of order. And that was down to the fact that the guard didn't really know how to do his job, and then did something that, in my opinion, was totally out of line. Totally out of line. So that's going to be an interesting one to look at, because I'm sure that won't be the last time we'll see that story. I'll tell you what, if I was a solicitor, I'd be straight on trying to ring your man and go, here, listen, you'd want to talk to me. That's all I'm saying. So those videos are coming out now, and they're coming out fast. About says, Ninja, you should run for elections too. A lot of these people like Fergus, Gavin, etc. have built up a base now and have gathered people's respect and will get the vote. I hear you on that one. A lot of people to send that sort of stuff towards me, and I really appreciate it, and highly appreciate it, of course, as well. I mean, I don't take that sort of comment lightly, and I appreciate that. It's something, I suppose, that I have thought about, but I just like what I'm doing at the moment. That's all I do. And listen, I'm well aware, right? I'm well aware that I do say things like that, and then people are looking and going, well, here's the thing. You've got people that are out there that are engaging in politics, and this is where we're at, and we really are at this point in time. You've got real villains in there, people that are just totally unlikable, not a character or morality trait about them. And you've got people that are out there that you're like, well, I'd vote for them. Like, I'd vote for Philip, I'd vote for Gavin, I'd vote for Ferg. That's what I'd say, because I like those guys. And I like what they're doing, I like what they're saying. Now, like, as I always say, proof is in the pudding when people get elected, and see what they do. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? But, like, I still would give that the shot rather than giving Leo Varadkar a vote. I'd certainly do that instead of giving Simon Harris the vote. And this is what the media and these establishment politicians will tell you. Oh, don't be taking a punt on them. Stay with us. We'll give you this, that, and the other. No, you've proven to me that you're now good. I don't want that. I want to give it something a try. I'm not looking at Sinn Féin. They're done. They're finished as well too. They're along with you. So no, I don't want to do that. I thought it was funny the other day. Fergus put up that brilliant video, as I was saying there, and I had some Egypt there underneath it. Some woman there from Northern Ireland, of course, commenting on what's going on here in Dublin. And I thought you'd be like, I'm from Northern Ireland as well too, and I'm helping out. Listen, once you're helping out, you're all good, and you're in the know when it comes to these things. But this Egypt was saying, oh my God, I can't believe he's out doing that. Why is he not at work? And like, you're looking at this muppet. And first of all, I'd say to these people, how many refugees are you housing personally yourself? And they can never come back there. Like, oh, they always do that sort of nonsense. But the thing that struck me most was, it was like, you're concerning yourself about what this man is doing on his day, and he's going protecting and defending his area, which is what I said in response. But this person has no concept of what she just said. She's worrying about the job of a fella here that's asking and defending his area and protecting his area and the people in it. But she's not worried about the fellas that are coming into the country with no jobs. Like, how could you be that stupid? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like looking at this going, I love what Ferg is doing. I love his energy. I love the fact that he's going along and asking questions. And this clown, put on the size 13s, because that's the only type of shoe that should be fitting you, crusty. Like, unreal. Absolutely unreal. I just don't understand how people can logically get through the day. I really don't. Like, I've seen it over the last few years, man. Honest to God. Like, I don't understand how certain people get through the day. I don't understand how they get up in the morning, make it through the day unscathed, and then go to bed and then repeat the next day. Like, some of these people, NPCs isn't even the word, man. Like, oh my God. I never believed in this whole thing of NPCs until the last few years, and I was like, whoa. And I've had real life conversations with people that have actively shown me that they're an NPC, and I was like, wow, that's stunning. Point Man's in here, says, hi folks, happy Friday, good to see you here. We'll jump into a couple of stories here now soon enough. Point Man says, was in hospital visiting and now doctors and nurses wearing masks, proving it was all compliance and no science. Well, you see, as I keep saying to people, that's why that these people should be held accountable for what they've done. We've spent a very long time now, and there is more talk, of course, as well too, coming out from these companies. Did anybody see that article? I'll show you. I think I have it here tonight. I'm not sure if I do. But the inquest into that 14-year-old from the islands is going on, and the individual from the company beginning with P has decided not to show up to the inquest under the guise of, well, I felt threatened and I was threatened on social media. So did they send the squad car out to get you? Is that what happened? Because is that not what would happen to most people if they didn't turn out to court? Is that not what would happen there? You just decided not to turn up because people may have allegedly said something to you online? Like, this is where we're at now. And people are looking at that, by the way. Don't forget, people are looking at that story and they're looking at these people acting like that and people failing to turn up to hearings and stuff like that. And now they're sitting there going, And this, I'm telling you now, lads, this can all be traced back to when Leo Varadkar wasn't charged by the DPP, when he was under criminal investigation. People look at that and they go, why would I do it? Because they're looking at situations like those and saying, hang on here for a second, that person didn't even show up. So why would I turn up to these things? Why would I give these people the time of day? And this is what I'm saying to you. This is, and I keep saying it, this is cause and effect. I'm not saying that this is what people should be doing or this is what they've decided to do. I'm telling you that as a leader of the country and as a leader of the place or whatever position you're in, you're supposed to be a role model. That's what you're supposed to be and supposed to do. So when you decide to disinvite yourself from these things, other people are going to go, sure, they're no different from me, which they aren't. I'm not going either. So that's the cause and effect of that situation. Let's have a look at this here. Now, we have a couple of memes before we jump into some of the stories that I'll show you here tonight. Now, there was a story here tonight that I'm looking forward to getting to, and I'll show you the video as well from the Off-Grid Ireland. Absolutely phenomenal. But one of the stories that I saw there about a certain councillor in Iraq. There's a video coming on that one, lads. You see, boy, people don't want to hear your opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth. That was Foghorn and Leghorn. I absolutely love that. That was one of my favourite characters. You say, boy. Absolutely brilliant, but absolutely factual as well. You see, I was talking to someone there during the week, and they were saying that they were looking at a scientific study, now a real one, on psychology, and they were saying that about 70% of the population are looking at things and they engage in what's called a herd mentality. So I was saying, well, that seems pretty logical because, it would seem that to the degree of the last couple of years, it did seem like that, and there were a number of people that decided, no, I'm not having that. And then with that, then the sway happened and it came because people were able to sway others. Like, I know people now that I suppose a year ago, if I'd have told them like that stuff was all hooey, they'd have jumped down my throat and they'd been like, absolutely, well, I can't believe that. Now she was on the other foot. They're like, I can't believe that this stuff is all hooey. And I'm like, I did tell you, I was saying. And now they're like, tell me more. So I'm like, that's cool. You've decided to switch off the likes of RTA. You've decided to not listen to any of these politicians. Fantastic. Great stuff. Welcome to the club. You're a bit late, but look, better late than never. So when I see that sort of statistic, I go, oh, that's grand. But the momentum is on our side now, and now it's starting to. I hate that when I go, and that absolutely drives me insane. It does. Just done it again. But you've got people now that are starting to switch sides, and those people that may have not been engaging themselves in the last couple of years either have switched on or are just changing side, which is always welcome. No problem at all. But when these type of things are said, they're absolutely true. Think about the amount of conversations that you have had over the last few years and people that holding opinions that are just way out of what they would have been saying 5 years ago. And that's how you know that these people are captured and how they're not even thinking. You talk to people about what was said by Anna Brun, what is a woman? Well, and you're looking at them and they're seriously looking at you going, the first answer out of your mouth should be, that's insane. That is actually insane that we're at this point in time. Crazy. We've been lied about everything. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot unlearn the many lies they've been taught to believe. Phenomenal. Phenomenal quote, phenomenal image, and something I would absolutely endear upon people to say, listen, take that down, this thing here, save it, whatever you might do with it, and send it on to people. And people will start to question things. We're in a real version of the Truman Show. It's interesting, isn't it? Entertainment. That's why I talk about entertainment an awful lot, because it's interwoven into real life. The Matrix, Truman Show. Truman Show to me is very on the nose. Like, imagine that. Imagine the fact that you have a movie that came out all those years ago that's basically telling you what's been going on. NPCs, bad actors in the world, product placement, scripted things to say, the opinion had to be followed, and if you didn't, they were like, show has to go. Interesting stuff, isn't it? Interesting times. We've got this here from 1999. Jumbo Jessica Simpson packing on the pounds in photos. So Jessica Simpson here looks great, obviously, as you know. But I do remember a time when a woman like this that used to be treated like this quite often, and because she wasn't a skin insect, they used to just want someone that was an insect with skin. It was crazy. And now you've got this here, 2020, and you've got Lizzo. How Lizzo stylist is preparing for Grammys 2020. This is our top priority. Like Jabba the Hutt, man. You know what I mean? And this person has the audacity to write for this same magazine, and only those number of years later is like, yeah, Lizzo's grand. But who are they attacking? They're not attacking this one. They're attacking her. Now, what's the difference between her and her? I'll let you figure it out for yourself. This is a good this is a good meme. Welcome. And then you just look at this one here and you go, Anyway, you disagree with me? That's a phobia, pal. Remember when this was going to save your life and you've got the... They're still down in certain places. You can still see the marks on them, by the way. You've got this everyone that was called toxic bigots for not liking shitty media, and you've got the movie studios and actors and writers. Simpsons meme, brilliant. I'm so glad I'm not locked away from the world as a homemaking slave to some husband. Deborah, your 15-minute break is over. And you've got people now. You've got a lot of women, by the way, that have joined the fray when they realise, problems are happening here and I'm not happy. Yup, you are completely and utterly correct. This is how you've been co-opted into this nonsense over the last few years. You have been dragged in by the feminist movement that has sold you a bad pup. And now you're realising this. You see, when it's difficult for the likes of your husband to get into different positions, or if it's difficult for him to get into different jobs, whatever it might be, this is why. Because a lot of these places now want nodding dogs, essentially, and an awful lot of the leftist women have that in common with said animal. Anyway, you've got these people now that are realising that in these jobs, working woman cries and asks why we fought for women to get jobs in the first place. I'm so tired. Look at the face on this one. Now, this is a real video that came out. Look at the face. But you have to realise that why is this a thing? Well, this is a thing because these people wanted their children to be put into the likes of creche and essentially state care down where messages can be sent to them that are not from the parents and they can get them at a young age. Because it is very difficult, as you've seen there above, to unlearn things that have been taught to you. And especially then as well, when you're going to certain places and there's an authority figure there and you're told to trust in these people. Well, that's a different story to what's going on now. I mean, I know many people now that are saying, well, the kid is going to creche or whatever that might be, but they will be coming home and will be sitting down and talking about what they learned and what they did, because there will have to be a form of deprogramming from certain things. And, you know, I love that. And I love talking to people, by the way, that are like that. It's fantastic. I know a fella in particular, and this guy is staunch about like any of this messing. Go to the office, don't care what you're doing, get me a phone call to me and I'll be up and I'll get you. And I'm just like, that's to be applauded, because that is the way parents, in my opinion, should be. When you look at a guy like that, that's so invested that he's like, I am not having you listening to it and iota of nonsense here. I don't want at any point in it at all. Nothing. And now you've got women now that are starting to awaken because they're starting to realise, well, when it comes to these things that we've been told online about how there's a patriarchy, this Barbie movie's at it, by the way. There's a lot of young women that are out there doing reviews on YouTube that are like, hey, this is just an indoctrination. This is just more nonsense. And you're looking at them going, we know, told you this was going to happen. You've got the director out saying wacky things for the last couple of weeks. The director's out there making slights at Zack Snyder. Now, you might be saying to me, but Ninja Knight, why would they care about Zack Snyder? What's that got to do with anything? And I'd say to you, well, look at what he was doing in his movies. Why do you think they've dismantled his universe? Because of all of the Christian allegories that were there. Because of all of the references to the Bible and biblical characters. It's no coincidence that they've decided now to cast a fella called David Cornsweet when you see how things are going. Because you look at David Cornsweet, as I did beforehand, and say, look at his background. Look at the type of dude that he is. So to me, again, like I say to you all of the time, you got to keep looking at what's going on in the background, because that's hugely important. Absolutely massive. So when you see women having this awakening now, it's important, because a lot of Irish mammies, for example, as well, have been instrumental in turning up to the various different protests that have happened. And that's what you see. You see people now starting to get with the program. They're going, hang on here now, my mother, my auntie, my grandmother, my daughter, my cousin, whoever it might be, is now under threat from nonsense. And there's no need for it to be like this. It really isn't. And it's at the behest of people that are up there now, that are waffling now with them, telling you, oh, I don't feel safe in my job because I'm a politician and people are asking me questions outside the door. But like I keep saying to people, have these people ever sat down with the likes of a person in uniform? And has that person in uniform ever said to them, here, listen, the reason why this is happening to you is because of X, Y, and Z. You want to stop doing that? Like, why are none of these people's handlers? When I mean, look, it's very clear as to why they're not doing that. But the handlers aren't telling these people, "Oh, listen, bad idea here, lads. Totally bad idea." So let's have a look now and see if we can get Off Grid Ireland up here now on the platform. Let's see what's happened there. I think that's after stopping sharing. Just give me a second. We'll see what happened here. You know the usual here when it comes to technical abilities. I don't know whether that picture is still showing up on Gab that I was just showing you there. This always happens with this stream. This is what you get when you get Clown World commentary, lads. That's what we got here. Should have Off Grid Ireland here. Everything should be good. I don't know whether this is going to come up. Give me a moment there, lads. We're slowing down here. So if there wasn't a technical issue, sure I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised now if there's messing. I really wouldn't. It's always the same. Always seems to be the same time when you're deciding to put something up. I love the fact that the chat just continued and they're like in here now going like, have you gotten your 7th one? Have you gotten your 10th one? What's the story there? We've got Michael Brazil is in here. I'm sort of saying it from 8:30 there. It says, evening folks, leader of the, shall we say, Kellogg's cornflakes. They were referenced it was referenced to something very negative in Ireland here. Well, according to Mark Malone. Anyway, I mean, I tell you what, the Irish Get was talking about that during the week, and I was like, that's gonna be a very costly venture there for Mark Malone, I would assume. allegedly, speculatively. We should see how things work out from there. But I tell you what, if I was Mark Malone, I'd be concerned. I wouldn't have been saying things like that because that's absolutely weirdo stuff there, man. Honestly. Now let's have a look here, and I'm just scrolling for this video that I wanted to show you. Where is it? Okay, it should be this one here. I'm just making sure that we're all in sync on this one here. So just make me comfortable here, lads. Just let me get into my flow here of putting this video up and make sure we're all good. Now, I don't know how to do this on this. This has a little bit changed, hasn't it? It's interesting. Instagram doesn't look like it wants to play ball here tonight, which makes sense, of course. You know, the usual. Let's have a look and see if we get this up here. Slap Happy says, what did you think of the Tucker and Tate interview, Ninja? I haven't actually checked that one out yet. I did see the one with Mike Pence, though. That was like not my concern. And I was like, ooh, you've just written yourself off there. Handy. Early days, my friend. So let's have a look at this here.
Look at you! Yeah, man! Look at that! Look at that! That's an out! Get off her! Get off her!
That's abuse! That's a fuck!
No, that's what.
Why not?
So that's Ballybrack there from the other night there, lads. And it's not looking good. It's not looking good from the point of view if you're in uniform there. You know, when you see these reporting in the paper of how many of these guys are retiring early and are also then deciding, hey guys, we're going to not be involved anymore, actually resigning, it makes sense, because how could you go home and sleep at night, really? How could you look at your own family in the eyes when you're standing over this sort of stuff? You know, now I'm not sure who is in the vehicle. I have no idea. But what you are seeing are a number of very upset locals that don't want anybody into their area that is coming in. And I'll tell you this, you have politicians that are out there that are saying, oh, these people don't have the right to say who's going into their areas and our areas as such. Who do these politicians think they are? They're the ones that are elected by the people. And they've long since forgotten who they are and who they serve. And this is the type of stuff now that is starting to boil over. And as I keep saying to people, by the way, what's very interesting from these points of views, and I will say this to you, people that are in the crowd are going to be antagonized by these people. These people allegedly, speculatively, have that sort of mind frame. You're seeing the videos and indeed some of the stuff that was said surrounding the likes of Finglas not too long ago, when they said, oh, we had the ERU waiting around the corner. Why would you mention that in an article? Why would you say that? That's very antagonistic. It's something that's not very nice, and it looks like that you were really just, chomping at the bit to get out there and get at people. But what I want to explain is cause and effect here, because here's the thing, and what I just want to explain is, I'm, as I said beforehand, a full supporter of law and order. These things are getting to the point where people are very angry about what's going on. They're angry about what's happened over the last few years, but they're becoming even more angry now when they're seeing the place being invaded like it has been. And they're seeing people in uniform more interested in pushing our own people around. You wouldn't see that type of manhandling going on with some of these fellas that have been brought into the place. Now, that's probably a very unfair thing to say, because I'm sure that there's people in certain places that probably do engage in that sort of stuff. But you're not seeing a widespread condemnation from these people in uniform. You're not seeing these people in uniform decide, okay, that's it now, we're all out, we're not doing this here. We're not doing it anymore. Like, you have one, what is it, sergeant, is it there, in maybe multiples. Like, they're telling you to go out and engage in this sort of stuff where you're being shouted at by people. And in my opinion, I understand why the locals feel like that. And I also understand why they feel that way about you, because you've engaged in stuff over the last few years when it pertains to the sniffles. You're now engaging in this. You're smirking at people. You're looking at them with a smarmy look on your face. It's really disgusting. And this is the thing. This is just evocative, and this is another thing. And I'm just explaining this again, like cause and effect. This is why the people dislike you, is because you've been on the wrong side of history when it came to the water charges. You were on the wrong side of history when it came to the bin charges. You're on the wrong side of history when it comes to this property tax nonsense. You're on the wrong side of history when it came to the sniffles. And now you're on the wrong side of history again when it comes to this. So there's only so much that people were willing to take without social media and without the internet. And now they've decided to not take it anymore. So I'm totally understanding of people that say that they don't support the Gardaí. I understand that. It's not my position. My position is, hey, I'd like to support law and order, and I think that a lot of what's going on is specifically designed, and this is what the people in the uniform, I don't know whether they all understand this or whether a small minority understand this, but this has all been designed to do exactly what it's doing. It's designed to undermine you. It's designed to make you look stupid. It's designed to make you look like the enemy. This is what this is all designed to do. And I think it's very silly. I think it's very silly from you, because I tell you what, if I was someone in uniform, I don't care what they'd do. I'd probably be one of the, what is it, the 600 that they're saying that resigned, because they're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting involved in that. There's some people, I suppose, there with a conscience. There's a lot of fellas that are running around here without any consciences. And the other side of things, when it comes to these things that I have to explain, is this. Again, I'm not supporting or endorsing this, and I'm certainly not telling people to do this. I wouldn't. But you're starting to do things like that, get physical with people, and you're outnumbered. I'm just saying that from a point of view of, hey, look at the situation, and let's look at this from a logical point of view. There's more people that are here, and I'm telling you what, lads, right? The video in O'Connell Street is something that you should all look at, because a lot of you think in the uniform, when you put that on, that you're Robocop, that you're Superman, that you're, I suppose, George St. Pierre. You might think even that you're, I suppose, who would be the biggest one now at the moment? John Jones, Steve Miocic. You might think you're one of these guys, but you're not. And when it comes to these things here, where you think, oh, this is going to turn a corner, honestly, lads, I'm telling you, I think it's the point in time now where you need to stop and you need to stand with the people. Would you not be better off? And I'm just asking this as a simple question. Would you not be better off standing with the people? Would you not be better off having good relations with the people? I think you would be. I think you would be wise. And I'm saying this in the point of view of, I think I would like to see a good outcome from all of this. I think you'd be wise to stand there and talk to people and understand their concerns. There are people that are very concerned about military-aged males and whatever else being stuffed into their areas. There's and I'm not joking when I say this, there are nearly stories daily, weekly, particularly from men and women about kids and various other things that are going on. People being chased home, the likes of outside the ESB building, around town and stuff like that. People that are non-Irish. The videos are out there. They're on Telegram and stuff like that. They're not being shown to you on RTE or anything like that. And this is why people feel this way. So this nonsense then that's going on, and this is why it deflates pretty quickly within 24 hours. When the media come out and call people far right and call them conspiracy theorists and say that they're all racists, well, the videos don't lie. When you see a fella that has a specific type of look running around and being caught on camera by someone from the Liberties that's telling them, I know what you were after doing, I'm after seeing you, I have you. It's very difficult to defend that, isn't it? Because you're going, well, he was trying to chase the kids there, and why is he even in the country in the first place? Let me tell you this, these other countries aren't sending their best. In fact, an awful lot of these people are being ran out of their countries. That's why you're seeing some of the stooks that we're seeing in the likes of governments, people that are at being put there, like a woman, Iramu. There's a video coming on her very soon. Someone that's in Limerick, a woman from Nigeria that's complaining about news talk, talking about Ricky Gervais, saying, oh, you can't be offended. Last time I checked, Nigeria has a very bad track record in human rights, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll go back to this because there's a video coming on that soon. When you have people being sent over to this country, they're up to no good, and now you're seeing so many people dropping out of the uniforms, you're going to start seeing them being replaced by these guys, and I'm telling you, lads, it's not good. It's not good notions that these people have. There's someone's profile coming up. But like this guy here, for example, right? In fact, you know, I'm not just drawing attention to this because it's just no comment. This is a comment that is starting to become a lot of people's thoughts, and the fact that someone's saying this publicly, by the way, and again, obviously I'm not calling for anything here, but the fact that this guy is saying this publicly lets you know how people are actually feeling. And he says there'll be a day that those Gardaí hawks won't be able to walk the streets without catching something. Then you'll see who runs the country, because they'll wheel out the UN private, and so many heads will spin then. But I think we're close to that point now. I really do, because I don't think these fellas have been sent into this place for no reason. In fact, over 80% that I did the poll on Twitter agree with me. They think that these guys are in here for nefarious reasons. Why else would you be staying down in the likes of barracks and stuff like that? Why else would you be staying and hanging around and being recruited by people in uniform? Like, I mean, these people, not the average head that's running around here, because a lot of these fellas are just picking up a wage, you know, like anybody. But the ones that are running the show, like Drew Harris and the one below there that's from Canada, they're all in on this. They're all in for this. They don't give a rat's if Tron and Mick leave. They couldn't care less. They're looking at Ahmed coming in. Ahmed's after been living in a tin pot shed. He's after coming over on a rubber dinghy. And they're going, will you put on the uniform there and do what we tell you? And Ahmed's going, yes, boss. You know, like, he's not going to think any different. And that's when the fun will begin. Because, as I say, people are looking and dealing with this sort of stuff with their own. Well, it's only going to come to a point in time where our own are actually going to all start walking away. And then it's going to be interesting, because they will have to eventually replace them with the people who they're recruiting too. And if you think that people are going to comply or are not going to comply with these guys now, it's another thing coming when you're going to decide to have someone that barely has a lick of English telling you what to do. That's not going to fly with a lot of people there too also. So I keep saying that to people, well, the Gardaí are just regularly now, it seems to be on the wrong side of history. It's very sad, obviously, as I keep saying to people, but it's going to come to a point in time where people are going to go, whoa, we ain't backing you anymore. Now, obviously, as I say to you beforehand, and I keep saying to people, this all works in for the people that are pulling the strings up above, because they're going, well, we don't really want the Garda Síochána. We want a one Europe, basically, Interpol sort of jobby where, you know, Frankfurt over there that's going to come over and be working here, and Sean and Mickey be over in Frankfurt or whatever like that. This is the thing, what they want. It's a one world sort of situation. So they're not interested in if the Gardaí go away. It doesn't matter to them. They're not interested and they couldn't care less if the defence forces go away. That's why they're belittling and undermining these places so much. I keep saying to people, the best thing that could be happening around Garda Síochána at the moment is a number of based employees, a number of people that are attaining high positions that are starting to talk out, and either through the media or through other people, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Gettr are always there, or I'm always here, you know, to say, look, what's going on. No problem, I'll always give you an ear. And this is the thing, so we're gripped. So why not do that now at this point in time where things are at a boiling point? I mean, they really are at a point in time where people are looking at what's going on. They're looking at the drag shows being performed. You had Darrow O'Flaherty there not too long ago, I think probably a year ago, standing outside the place, standing the guard. That's actually criminal what's going on in there. And the guard just walked away from him. So you've got a number of issues that are going on. You also then have Ireland under the spotlight as well too when it comes to certain things to do with, for example, rings and certain things like that, and you're starting to see big distractions being made by the likes of Hollywood, for example, with the Sound of Freedom. Do you think that this is all by an accident that they've decided to strike and cause a big commotion about that? That makes sense. It's all part of the game. But when it comes to Irish people standing outside in their own areas, telling these people are not welcome, you are at the point in time now where I think you're rightfully so at the right point in time where you're not worried about some idiot on Twitter, some lefty idiot that's telling you that they're he, him, or they, them, or whatever like that, calling you an istaphobe for standing up and defending your own area. I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right to be doing that because people, and particularly as you're saying here, a number of men, their fathers and brothers, uncles, maybe even grandfathers that are there, are looking at situations and going, I am not having my family be under threat here. Meanwhile, you've got the likes of TDs and senators giving themselves €5,000 each to beef up security. Hang on here for a second. That's totally out of order. So I see that point 100%, and you're starting to see it amongst a lot of other people. So you've got this video here, by the way, that emerged there of an idiot there wearing a dress. This is at some kids, I don't know whether there's a name in there, some sort of stuff here, but as you can see there, all you can think about is this dude and the dude sitting beside him. And I'll say to you, and I'll say it again, I don't think people that are like this should have anything to do with children whatsoever. And this proved it itself. Now, allegedly, the comedian Joanne McNally was at this event and actually published a video, allegedly, speculatively, because a lot of people said that the video went up and was taken down pretty rapid after the fact. Now, I don't know, again, that's an allegation that's been made. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying the type of information that's been circulating online. But they have a dude here that's running around where there's kids involved as well too, and running around in one of these drag things. Lads, I didn't think that this would come to Ireland this fast and that this sort of stuff would go on the way it is. But this is a result of the nuclear family being disbanded, fathers being made to feel like they're nothing to do with anything, men being treated as if they are nothing, and the likes of the legal system being so heavily weighed against them. And in the meantime, entertainment catering then to greedy, selfish personalities that have been developed and have been pushed forward in women, unfortunately. No, not all women, as I keep saying, the based women on here that are on our side, they know what's what, and they exactly understand what's happening and what's going on, and God bless you. But you've got a lot of people out there now that are conned into that. Then you've got the other thing there where they're saying, oh, it's totally okay for two people here, like two dudes and two women, to adopt a kid and they can raise them. It's absolute peak degeneracy going on these days. And as I keep saying, you look at different places in the world where they're trying all this and it doesn't end well. You saw a case of it there in America not too long ago where there was two dudes that adopted a kid and did very nefarious things, is all I'd say. Can't even talk about it on the stream. This is how bad these things are. But a lot of people saw that and they said, well, there's only one way to solution. There's only one way to have an end product to that there. And these guys should be in jail and even further than that. Because like that, these people that are involved, I'm not saying these fellas now or nothing like that, but when you have a drag artist at these type of things, it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous to be having these type of things, to be engaging with kids. And to be honest with you, instead of the Gardaí rocking around the likes of Ballybrack, would they not have been better off riding this and the rest and everybody there? Like, that'd be better off, no? Because everyone that's there is engaging in something that's totally indecent when it comes to kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, does not make sense. To me, it does. So let's have a look at this now. So that was Ballybrack. And I'm going to show you Dún Laoghaire because this video came out as well. Now, this video, lads, is an absolute whopper because people identified the woman in the video like really quickly. And this factors in with something I want to show you now in a few minutes as well from another article that's been written. So we'll see now if this responds. Instagram was acting the cat earlier on. Now, this says more video from Ballybrack protest against welfare migrants. So I'm not sure about that. Someone let me know in the chat if this is in Dún Laoghaire or if this is in Ballybrack. It may have been even said in the video itself. Let's see, because I just had a quick look at this one there yesterday. Let's have a look now. Let's have a look and see if this loads. Let's have a look and see if this is starting to go. It's doing the Odysee circle. It loves that it does on this platform. Chat's up to 163. That's good to see. So anyway, this video is evocative of what people have been saying for a very long time, which is you've got people in uniform that don't want to be asked questions or speak to the people with concerns, but they're speaking to certain people with certain positions. And what is the position of the person that's involved in this here? Now, if this responds, this would be great. It would. It's always Instagram. These stupid platforms. This thing has been messed with by Zuckerberg, wasn't it? There last week, put this threads nonsense it did into it. Let's have a look now for this. Always the same. You never get any of this messing on Gab. Gab is actually pretty solid. I have to say that. This should kick in a second. Yeah, Shamak, you're right there. You are when you say that, but the only thing is that you can't say that on the verbalize that I can't on this stream. Unfortunately, I'd love to be able to, and agree with you. So let's have a look here now. This should be booting now. This is actually ridiculous. So yeah, and if anybody can let me know if this is in Ballybrack. I know that Off-Grid Iron have it here. They do. So let's have a look at this video.
There's a lefty look communicating with the Gardaí.
Now, I'm going to stop that video there. I know that's annoying. But people spotted that this person is Kitty Holland. Allegedly, speculatively. Do we say allegedly, speculatively? People are saying dial up modem in the chat there. That's actually not me. It's not me. The signal is good here. It's just a ridiculous platform where it is Instagram. I tell you, no problems with Gab ever. And problems with this one all the time. But anyway, this is allegedly Mary Q. Phillips says that's Ballybrack. We've got Zarowski says Ballybrack. Yeah, okay, so it's in the same place. That's happy days. Lovely. So this is allegedly, speculatively, Kitty Holland. And look at her conversing there with the Gardaí. Now let's see what sort of response is had here.
She was down in Dunleary antagonising peaceful protesters, recording them. Now she comes up to Ballybrack now to talk to the guards, which is doing nothing. That's what you call a plant. She doesn't care about the Irish. What about the 12,500 Irish homeless? What have you got to say about them? 12,500 Irish homeless on the street. Huh? Have you got anything to say about that? No? I didn't think so. Coming down trouble. Selling off your pictures to the highest bidder. Mind's our business, guard. I'm not talking to you. Yeah, mind's our business. I'm not talking to you. But don't answer questions. She's harassing peaceful protesters up in Dunleary, and she came down to her to do the same. So, on the point. That's the man there that pushes the old ladies around. See this guard here? There's his number. Just remember his face. I hope his kids are proud of him. Yeah, just remember him. The big bully boy going around pushing old women. You're a brave man in your uniform. One day you won't have that on you. And you're going to bump into the wrong people, I tell you. Yeah. Every one of you are fucking paedophile protectors. Don't arrest the illegal immigrants that's coming into the country. And stop bullying old women. Peaceful protesters. Why don't you arrest all the illegal people coming into the country? And stop pushing old women around. Do you love your job, do you? Look what you're doing. Yeah, you love pushing old women around, don't you?
Heads up.
Up the lads. Video on you, video on me.
So there you go, lads. So that was in Ballybrack. So my apologies there when I was kind of Dunleary. The people at Ballybrack could be like, listen, Ninja, we've had good relations in the past, but to say that we're from Dunleary, we're disavowing you. We're not communicating. So anyway, there's a couple of things to unpack from that video, and obviously, as a lot of people have been calling her online, a lot of people have been calling Kitty Holland Kitty Smollett, because some of the stories that have been said beforehand and some of them that have seemingly been introduced this week will have a look. A lot of people have looked at her journalistic integrity and it has totally gone to pot. Now, the first thing that struck me when it comes to this video here is that I think that she probably thinks I've been identified as who I am in terms of the journalist. And these people have all been taught the same thing. Have you noticed that, by the way? Ryan Turbridge did this when he was inside, I think it was at the centre there, and he was asked about the stuff, the pushing of the Voldemort, and he just didn't say anything and walked. This woman also doesn't say anything now. She also does the whole looking at you sort of stuff, because these people have a superiority complex. And when I say that, these people think they are superior to you, and how dare you challenge them? How dare you question them? But I think that is exactly what's going on here. I've been identified and I'm going to start moving away here now. Now, I'll be honest with you. The stuff that the man is saying is fairly okay. And when I say that, I think it's obviously not threatening. There are very good questions that are being asked. And of course, there the phone goes away really quickly. But what happens here then is super interesting. You see, the diversity hire decides to cut him off and decides to get involved here in this. That's got nothing to do with you. It's a public place. And if this man is asking questions, that's absolutely fine. And you see, here you have another woman now getting involved because she doesn't like a question being asked of this woman. Now, just bear that in mind of what we've just seen. You have seen a fella manhandle an older woman in a crowd. Did she have that type of response to him? Or is it just because he's a colleague that you're going to look the other way? Did you have anything to say then? I don't think you did. But instead, you have decided to cut across there, because I can only assume, and again, I'm only assuming here, I'm only speculating, I'm not saying this definitely happened, but it is a potential, or is there a situation that could be happening right here now, that this person in the uniform recognizes who that is and goes, need to intervene. I don't know. Again, that's just speculation. But all I'm saying is, why is it that when a certain person is asked questions and they start to run away, why are other people starting to get involved then and starting to go, can I help you there? No, you can't. Go away. Nothing to do with you. If this man has something to say to you, I'm sure you'd go and say it to you. What are you doing interfering for? What are you getting involved for? Like, it's actually got nothing to do with you. You decide to step across and then decide to step across again. Why? Like, it's crazy, isn't it? There she is there again. She's just like, what's going on? Now, like I say to you all of the time, lads, they ain't picking the best they are to be in these things. Know yourself. And there off she moves then. So that woman has been identified, according to a lot of people online, as Kitty Holland. Now, you remember her from the article that was written about Ashtown. And the Irish Times don't seem to have provided any footage since then. They don't seem to have provided any images or anything like that. And they don't seem to have provided any proof from their allegations that were made a number of months ago. Now, like I keep saying to you, you got to look at where these people are residing. You got to look at what these people are involved in. And the media, of course, they are super duper hungry to write articles and say things. And I mean, of course, you're seeing the likes of the Stephen Bedford stuff coming up, and you're seeing them say, well, you know, in the article, Stephen is a very interested activist, and he was saying that these people were saying all sorts of racist and thuggish type of things towards him. Okay, so where's Stephen's proof of that? Instead, what you're doing is you're doing the what's that Randall Weems? Did you ever see that TV show Recess, where you have the little kid and he's out there, he's deciding to write something down with a little hunchback, and he goes off ranting. Then he does to the person who was in the school. Who was that? Someone in the chat said to me, I just remember that show from when I was a kid, and it's absolutely hilarious. But these people at the Randall Weems is going off to the guards. Is there anything being said? What are these people saying? Are they saying something that we can construe a certain way? That's how the media work. The media work as insofar as if someone says something even offhand, a joke or something like that, and some of these people overhear it, they go, oh, this was said at this event there. So what? There's people getting worse. In the country, you've got the Ashland Murphy situation. You've got the two lads there in the likes of Sligo as well. You don't want to talk about that at all. You seem to just want to keep that one hush and make people forget. People aren't forgetting about that. And then you want to say, oh, well, hurty words are much more important to be talking about than anything that has happened to these people. To me, if you're saying you're going to take someone off the chessboard permanently, and you've done that with, like, for no reason, if it's self-defense, you might have a bit of a spoke and that there. But if you've just done it, well, you should be looking at a very long time. Like, you don't seem to be thinking about that at all. No. It's more interested in what will we do? Well, we'll find people for saying things we don't like, and we'll also then get them into prison then if we don't like what they say. So you have to look at these things here, lads, and you need to see things like these videos because these videos are not a good situation that we have now at this moment in time, because you've got a very poor situation that we have happening here. And I'm just looking at something. The lads in the chat having a good time. Brilliant. So anyway, you've got these guys here now in the likes of the uniform that aren't doing a job that a lot of people are liking, and they are involving themselves in smarmy responses to people that are asking the questions. And I mean, I could keep saying to you, lads, I don't understand why these fellas do what they do and they behave the way they behave. I mean, surely that they're saying what's going on, and surely they're saying that they're in opposition to people that are just looking to protect their area. They're looking to defend their families, which is very noble, in my humble opinion. But of course, then you've got weirdos that turn up to these things, and you've got weirdos online that think it's well within their right to say, well, you should be made feel unsafe in your areas. You should be made feel like you're being replaced. That's how these weirdos behave. And, you know, as I keep saying, there's no point in talking to the left. There's actually 0 point in it. You don't get anything now, but there's not a decent exchange to be had with these people. These people are muppets. They have empty brains, and they are just being controlled and being told what to do. So I don't know what the story is with this guy. I don't know what he gets out of it, to be honest with you. It's a very strange situation that you have now when it comes to these people. I don't know why they want to be viewed this way. You know, to me, if I'm being honest with you, if you're in uniform and you're behaving like that, you're not really casting a good light upon yourself, and you're certainly not casting a good light upon the profession then, if you're asking me, because that type of response just doesn't do anyone any good. Now, there's a video up here as well, too, because Off-Grid Ireland, they're very good at what they do, and they show you videos there, like the likes of what we've seen from France there. This is one here from Spain, where a woman was attacked by someone that's not Spanish, according to them. So these videos are becoming more and more open. They're becoming more and more clear. That's the video there from Helen McEntee and Gript, so that's a good video there. It is. Derek did a good one as well. He was talking about what's going on when he was talking to the likes of a Sinn Féin councillor, I think it was, down the local area, and that individual then didn't want to talk to him, said he wanted nothing to do with him. Very interesting, to say the very least. So we'll jump back into Gab now, and we'll get off Instagram. Instagram is causing an awful fuss here this evening. But I want to give Off-Grid Ireland a shout out there as well, because they're posting up these clips and these videos, and I appreciate that. I do. Off-Grid Ireland. It'd work a lot better, I would, for us then. But going back on what I was saying there, you've got a number of videos that are just emerging from not only Ireland, but different countries too, and you're seeing behaviours go on. Now, I keep saying it to people, and I think people need this to be just responded to, and they need to be repeated again and again. You get the age-old adage from these idiots on the left that go, but like, we've our own criminals. Yeah, no, I agree. And that should be sorted out. However, importing more potential criminals is a bad idea. Do you not all agree? And these people go, well, no, that's actually Istaphobe. No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Why don't we have a system like what Australia has, which is if you decide to come to the country, you should be background checked to the nines. There shouldn't be any ability for you to enter the country, even if you had a JLO. If you had an offence as a youth, no should be the answer. You should be, first and foremost, in my humble opinion, looking at the person's record as far as if they have a criminal record. And then after that, then you should be looking at the profession. You don't need a load of people that are just average lay people. If you're coming across to this country and you're a neurosurgeon and we don't have neurosurgeons, I will support that. That's fair enough. But if you're coming across here and you're interested in doing nothing but bumming around and acting the goat, no, you shouldn't be entered into the place. I think that's wrong. And a lot of other people do too. We have enough people here that you can use for library. We have enough people here that you can use in different jobs. And look, certain people just have to do jobs that you might find, oh, that's a bit below my skill or something like that. That's what got people through the end of school. It's what got through the end of college or through college or whatever it might be, or whatever your situation might be. Some people are just happy to be plodding along in a job, whatever little job it might be. People that are getting close to retirement or have retired, they're interested in those type of jobs. Instead, they're seeing these jobs be occupied by people, and they're going, hang on here for a second, that's something I used to be able to do, and it used to be a handy number, but now I have to go back out or I have to work until I'm 67. No, it's the answer here. I don't want to do that. So that to me is something that's an interesting time that's coming ahead. I can see the chat there. I can see Derek McManus is. You always have Derek working really hard here in the chat, and then you have Leanne as well too. That'll be working super hard here in the chat. I could see one or two of the lads there saying there's some idiot out there deciding to turn up. Oh, stop. Anyway, we'll jump in here. We've got Thor here. Them. Everything isn't a conspiracy. Me, I think it is. Well, I love that. Absolutely love that. So you've got this here now. You've got to mess around and find out there, and you've got this group here. This was a weather phenomenon apparently that caused this issue here. Oh no, terrible, sad that one. Anyway, Aldi Ireland decided to promote this there not too long ago. Now this was sent to me by a follower of the channel, and when I saw it, I just like, oh my god, here we go, lads. So as you can quite clearly see, you've got a lad playing with Barbies. Now you'll have a couple of people in the chat. I always get this, people having a laugh, and I like that when people have a laugh and they say, "Well, I play with Barbies." I was, well, not me personally, I wouldn't do that at all. But you get people that are like that, and they say, "Well, this is a phase," or you get girls that play with. She's in fairness, she's playing with a car here. You get girls that play football, or they're a bit tomboy or something like that. But at this stage in life, what you're being told now by a lot of these people is, "Oh, this guy, that's it now, done." He's going to call himself Megan for the foreseeable, and he's going to engage in all sorts of strange movements and certainly strange things. That's the type of society they're trying to cultivate. Now, listen till I tell you this. You will have people in the chat, I'm sure a lot of them will agree, and a lot of people for sure will also feel this, where there's been studies done. And you, for example, as a toy company, Hasbro have done them, they've published them as well. They're trying to walk a lot of them back now recently. They are pretend like they didn't do these things, but they did. And they opened up a room, say, and was full of toys. Say one side was full of cars, the other side was full of kitchen stuff and dolls and all like that. And they said, like, the boys overwhelmingly went to the cars. And the same can be said then for the women, the girls, I should say, overwhelmingly went to the dolls. Sure, you'd have a couple that would decide to go to one or the other or whatever like that, and that's what they decided to do. Maybe they made something up with regards to that. But what you're seeing here now by Aldi, and don't forget Aldi being the German company, of course, this is in their plans too, deciding to promote a boy playing with girls' toys. Now, where I come from it is this: can you not put two girls into this advert? Can you not put two little girls? Because should this not be something that the girls are playing with? Like, have you got not enough boys products that are out there? You do. You've got Hot Wheels, you've got Transformers, you've got G.I. Joe, you've got many properties that are out there. And new ones I'll shout out, obviously, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, you've got Savage Crucible, you've got Valiverse there with their Action Force. You've got many boys properties out there. But you decided to stick a boy into an advert where it's a girl's product. Now, have you not noticed this? This keeps happening. Men and boys keep going in to girls' sports as of the last couple of years, and they're dominating. You're seeing men going into, say, for example, the beauty industry, and they're starting to dominate and everything like that. Now you're starting to see it cross over now into different territories where they're like, oh, by the way, the men are going to just take part in this. No, why are you being enforced on these people the same way that they're being enforced upon us, insofar as you have Barbie here? I think we can all overwhelmingly say that it's a female property. So why is it then that you're shoving, say, for example, Rey Skywalker into the Star Wars? That's an overwhelmingly male property. See, it's a constant switch and trying to turn people towards something that's different than tradition, essentially. And as I say in the chat there, and the chat is right, where's the Irish girls? If this is promoted in promoted, what's the start? The stutter there, Ninja. If this has been promoted in Ireland, what's the story with the images being captured here? What's the story? So Barbie has well and truly flown the coup. Saw a brilliant meme there yesterday. It was like, flown the coop or flown the coup, because they mean two different things. They do, the coop. So you've got Barbie that's gone straight into the woke stuff here now. And Mattel, let me tell you this, Mattel are playing that game, by the way. Mattel are involved in all of this sort of rainbow stuff. They wanted and stood over and looked at He-Man be totally sidelined in his own TV show to put Tila forward. This is no mistake. This is happening on purpose, by the way. So if you think that this is just a conspiracy theory, it's not. They're verifiable things that I just said. So let's keep going here now and see what else we have. Showed you that one there earlier on. You've got this here now. Now, Gavin Pepper, to me, probably could have a similar situation as to what the Irish Gate now has, because weird comments being made online like these. Is this not slander? Is this not defamation? What's the story with this? Streetlink homeless support. This is the first time Garda Info sent their officers in to clear people peacefully observing the siege at McSweeney House. This woman, allegedly, speculatively, this account, Sis Cat, said, I didn't see them treating Gavin Pepper like this, and he burned the encampment on Sandwich Street down after assaulting people. Gavin, you might want to get on that there. Because what happens with these people, and this is a very out there claim, these are the type of things that they try and attribute to people. And for example, when you're running for an election, or if you're running for a local council and like that, these people in the likes of the online world think that adding these type of things towards you is going to be some sort of smear campaign that people are going to listen to. They aren't anymore, but these people should be held accountable. And from what I understand, the Irish Gate is going to make Mark Malone be held very accountable. So that's interesting to see where things go from there. And this is another instance that I would say that's some very strange things that you're saying there. And to me, if that's not true, and again, all I'm saying to you is that when you say things like this and you try to attribute things to the people that you're attributing them to, yikes is all I'll say on that one. You've got this here now. This made me chuckle, I have to be honest with you. The Anfield Talk said this: if Jordan Henderson is staying, which looks a more distinct possibility by the hour, then he owes an awful lot of answers to Jurgen Klopp, his teammates, and Liverpool supporters. Huh? What's going on? Oh, Jordan Henderson was linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Now, 1,861 likes, but 221,000 views. Okay, seems like a lot of people didn't agree with you there. He doesn't owe anyone anything. He should go tell LFC LGBT that. He's been happy enough to put himself at the forefront of the LGBTQ plus campaigns, but now he's happy to play in a country where it's illegal to be in that community. This idiot doesn't understand it's all about money. These people have many principles and morals themselves, and a lot of them go, I'm just going along with it. That didn't work when it came to the sniffles, because they told a lot of these players, look, you're going to have to be tested before games, and players went, no, I don't want to do that, but okay. Then they told the players, yep, you're going to have to take this stuff, and not only are you going to have to take this stuff, you have to go out and promote it. And the players went, no. And from what I heard, the Premier League had an over 70% rejection rate that they said, nah. Now, we've seen a couple of fellas have issues, obviously, in the last year or so, and we'll wait and see what happens from here on out. But when you have an overwhelming number of people that say no, well, then it shows you that they don't align themselves with an awful lot of what you do and say. So when they're told, wear the rainbow armband, wear the rainbow laces, and they go, yeah, whatever, okay, I'll go out and do that, and not saying nothing, then that's where you get to the situation where you're at now. That's why, for example, when it comes to the likes of Idrissa Gueye, which is ironic given the name, and he's at PSG and says, I'm not wearing any of that stuff, I say fair play. And I think you're seeing that starting to turn as well, where you have the likes of the NHL. The NHL have decided to walk away from all of this rainbow stuff. They said there's going to be no rainbow stuff. There's going to be no remembrance of nothing next year, nothing political, just sports. That is the angle and option you should be taking anyway. I don't want to see any of this sort of stuff from football. Whatever you do as a legally consenting adult behind closed doors with other legally consenting adults is up to you. I couldn't care less. But when you're deciding to make it public like this, don't be surprised when players go, I have no scruples with going to a country that believes vehemently the opposite of what you people are pushing. The only reason why I'm involved in this is because there's a potential, allegedly, speculatively, for a tax break, or I'm being told to do that by the club. I doubt it that a lot of these fellas go out of their way to do these things just by choice. So this person is completely off the reservation when it comes to these things. Oh my God, I think you need to be explained to this thing. Rightfully have questions on his motives. Is this written by a woman? What's happened? What's happened to society? If this is a man running this account, what sort of man talks like that? What's the story with that? He needs to offer us an explanation as to why he wanted to play in Saudi Arabia. Money, money. The same reason why the BBC went over and covered the Qatar World Cup. They cribbed about it, they did before they went. They cribbed about it after the fact. But why did they go? Money. That's it. The stupidity of people is astounding. It really is. And this is a very big account, by the way. It's a big account. I'm not a Liverpool fan, and a lot of people will be in here in the chat and saying in the comments after, Ninja, you're dunking on the Liverpool supporters. What's the story? But this is a ridiculous statement. If the United Stand or some sort of fan channel came out and said something as stupid as this, I'd dog that as well. I'd be like, what are you talking about? The stupidity. Oh my God, guys, I can't believe that Harry Maguire is going to play in Saudi Arabia after he wore the LGBT plus alphabet soup, nonsense. Hardy's getting paid. And I'd say probably if you asked Hardy if he wanted to engage, and I'd probably say, no, I didn't really, but I just done it just cause. Crazy stuff, man. Absolutely crazy. Now, this is a video coming during the week, boys. And when I say that, this video that came out from RTE has been absolutely ratioed to bits. Okay? This is a platform, well, I should say, this is a media company with a followership on social media of Twitter of 1.2 million. Generally, will lock the replies, but decided to open the replies to this one, which is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Because what happened was they got ratioed. They got something like 54 likes. I have a video coming on. I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm going to play the video in the video so as you can see what was said. But it was absolutely out there stuff. They have they've 3 women, 2 18-year-olds and 1 16-year-old. And I have to be honest with you, the 16-year-old who was an African seemed more sensible than the other 2. Now, when I say that, the African girl who was 16 was reading off a cue card, her eyes going left to right, and didn't seem like she'd memorized any of it. The other 2 who were Irish, one spoke with an American accent or with American inflections at the end of her sentences, was totally out there, and so was the other one. Then this other one had red hair, which is ironic as well too. But anyway, these 2 18-year-olds were talking all sorts of nonsense in support of this stuff here. The African girl, I was like, I'd say she's probably going home, and the family are like, what are you at? when they see this, because a lot of Africans are based and they understand what's going on. But RT put this out and they said, consent, recognizing abusive relationships. And this is what these media companies do and what these people by and large do. They say things that are agreeable. Consent, yeah, I'm all for that. No problem at all when people have to understand consent. Yeah, no problem at all. No issue with that. Recognizing abusive relationships, sure, no problem. Now, the only thing is, though, when I look at that, I say, well, what do you mean by an abusive relationship? Like, what I perceive as one, you might not perceive as one, and what someone else might perceive as one, someone else might not. You know, I talk to a lot of people, and as I keep saying to you, you've got people that are out there that say, oh, you know, the way he spoke to her, that's totally abusive, and that's emotional abuse. You look at Jonah Hill. Was it Jonah Hill? That was Jonah Hill, wasn't it, last week? Yeah, Jonah Hill last week. His wife has only had a baby, right? And this bitter ex came out and was like, Jonah Hill was emotionally abusive to me. And then she's like, screenshot a text that he set his boundaries. Like, I don't want you hanging around with dudes. I don't want you sending out skimpy pictures of yourselves, torch trapping or anything like that. I don't want you doing anything. All reasonable stuff. And she was like, oh, I think he should be cancelled for this. His wife has just had a baby. She's obviously agreed to the boundaries. Everything's hunky-dory. Why are you engaging in that? Like, what are you doing? You decided to live your life as a surfer that nobody knows with a lot of dudes, and you decided to put the pictures up. It ended. So what are you doing? But that person wanted to come at it from the point of view of, well, Jonah was abusive. No, he wasn't. You engaged in that relationship when you agreed to those terms and then said, oh, I don't like these terms, and you ended the relationship, and that was it. But what's happened in the last number of years is these people have been given this, and this is what happens. This is the ripple effect. This isn't just happening with these people, because you've got people that are in your everyday lives that think, oh yeah, I think what Jonah Hill did there is wrong. Like, you're looking at it and you're going, no. What he did was he set out a stall from the beginning and said, well, if you want to take part, this is what I'm expecting. If you don't, that's cool. No problem. On your way. That's normal. I have to conform to your viewpoint. No. Well, you were setting out the stall earlier on. You don't have to conform to nothing. Anyway, going on past that one, because that can be perceived in many ways. Gender inclusivity. Okay, listen, I'm going to stop you there, okay? This was tried out in America, it was, and listen, it's not, that's not real. There's 2 genders and that's it. End of story. You can't turn around and say, there's 72 genders and I'm penguin, Filipino penguin. You just can't do it. No such thing. You can be Filipino. Are you actually Filipino though? No, you're not. You're a white Irish woman. You're not Filipino. Will you stop? Will you? Absolutely unbelievable. So this is the sort of stuff that they're running with here now, and they're trying to push it into the SPHE syllabus, and they're looking to make it mandatory. Now, as I said in the video, and I'll say it to you again, look up the word mandatory. The word mandatory, by the way, because a lot of people out there don't understand the English language. And listen, I would say that when I speak for an hour, when I speak for 2 hours, when I speak for 3 hours, sometimes, even in this stream, has evidence that I can misspeak. Sometimes I will say things that I'm like, well, on reflection, I probably wouldn't have said that. Or I might have said, well, I could have phrased that in a different way. Very harsh on myself when it comes to these things. I've gotten better over the last few years that I've looked at and listened to some of my videos and be like, okay, right, I'm saying that too much. Like the as, don't like that. Absolutely very angry with myself when I do those sort of things. But when it comes back to these things here, mandatory is a word that when you look that up, it's just a word that goes in a circle and it's basically recommended. We recommend that. So what does the word recommend mean? Well, it means that someone in a position of authority, which actually means nothing nowadays, has said something that you should probably take on board. Well, no. And you've got a lot of people that have said that they don't agree with this SPHE syllabus. They're pushing back against it. You're seeing videos, for example, like of Andy Heisman has put out another brilliant video of them serving legal documentation to a library that wanted to promote the likes of the Juno Dawson. This book is gay. If anybody hasn't seen that, have a look at that book. Have a look into it as a legally consenting adult, obviously. Look into that and see what they're trying to promote towards children. They're trying to. They're actively doing that. Now, when you see this type of individual here, Brendan, looking at the replies, I think we need to extend teaching of the new SPHE syllabus to every man in the country. That's very sexist there, Brendan. That's very misandrist, isn't it? But here's the thing. Very telling thing. Oh, guys, the men aren't agreeing with this nonsense. Absolutely, 100%. And this is the thing. You've got a number of based women here in the chat, which I love to see. And this is awesome because you've got the lefty women that have been totally exposed over the last few years to being very agreeable nodding dogs. Again, there might be something in that, as I just said. But anyway, you've got people that realize now, particularly men, nah, we're not having this here. Because they see the likes of this one here be the end result and the end product of things like this. This woman here in particular, 18-year-old individual, speaks with an American inflection. You know, someone that talks like this and they sound like they're from California. I don't know why someone talks like that. Why do you talk like that? And this is a person that I don't know what the story is about their own personal life or anything like that, but where are the parents? Where are the parents of these 3 women that have been interviewed by RT and are saying absolutely out there things? Where are they? This person's more concerned about what men are saying in the comments, which is, looks like we've a couple of people on the loose. You know? Well, when you see the bull ring lads here in the nose, you know what the story is. And we're starting to see it here now, and it wasn't very clear in Irish society for a very long time, but it's becoming more clear now. And I say it in the video, where you can visibly look at someone and understand everything you need to know about that person just by looking at them. Bull ring, shaved heads, overweight, wearing clothes that don't fit them, and certainly are not flattering whatsoever, wearing all sorts of weirdo get up. And this isn't a fashion thing, this isn't a statement or anything, that this is just I know exactly what you're thinking and how you're feeling just by looking at you. And people that say, well, the same was in reverse there when someone's seeing someone with a red baseball cap. Sure. But what are they calling people now online? They're calling them far right for doing what? Drinking coffee and working out? Well, that's weird. That's very strange. Anyway, these are the type of people that they're appealing to. And as I keep saying to you, and a lot of people, and I know it as well too, and I can see some of the comments as well too, that's the younger generation, Ninja. A lot of the younger generation are based, and a lot of them don't feel this way. But as I keep saying to people, this is the responsibility of an older generation. People that blame the younger generation and say, well, that's them. But hang on here for a second. What have you currently got as an outlook here in this country? You've got a Taoiseach at the moment there that was under criminal investigation. That is an out, yourself, out of the closet individual that is doing all sorts of things that aren't very role model-esque of him. Doing it on the boyfriends there not too long ago, wasn't it, in a nightclub there? You've got the likes of Roderick O'Gorman as well too, that there's massive question marks around, and the fact that he has spoken publicly with Peter Thatcher beforehand, and you just look into what your man Peter Thatcher was saying. You've got people that are running around the place that are of an older generation that are okaying all this sort of stuff and saying, yeah, this is no bother at all. Like, you have to at some point say, well, I was the steward for the culture and you failed in your duties. You see, that's what I do say all of the time. I was very lucky to have a mother and father that were very good stewards and are very good stewards, because they say, no, this is right and this is wrong, and don't get involved in this, don't get involved in that. And a lot of people have people that were warped by the likes of the 70s and 80s into thinking certain ways. And indeed, I suppose you could extend it to the 60s and 70s. Or I said 70s and 80s, but I should say the 60s and maybe even the tail end of the 50s, where people were like, no, let people think what they want and do. No, this is the end result. The end result is people there that are going running around saying, I'm non-binary. Nonsense. You've got people that are out there that are actually gay, and the gay community are starting to realise this now, by the way. They're starting to get this. They're late to the party again, but, better late than ever. And some of them would say, well, I'm fashionably late. And I say, well, given the people that are running around with you now, we wouldn't call it fashionably late. But they're even coming out and going, well, I shouldn't even say that because they've already done that. But anyway, these people are saying, hey, this non-binary stuff, this they-them stuff, this is codswallop. And you're going, yeah, told you. But that's what you decided to do when you decided to not end at our LGB and decided to add everything else. You added Pennywise and Doubtfires and other people then that are out there. One flew over the cuckoo's nest into the group. You added them to the WhatsApp chat, and then you're wondering, hey, the WhatsApp chat's at the getting out of hand. Well, I'm not surprised. So this got a very good ratio. I was glad to see that on social media, and that's the positive thing about Elon Musk going on Twitter, that people are able to have their say beforehand. Now, I'm actually shocked the RTE decided, hey, we're going to open the comments to this there, because it looks really bad on you having 1.2 million followers and absolutely getting walloped in the comments there. Very bad. So this is another thing I showed on Instagram. This comes from Irish Explorer, I think it was, this one. This was a video that came out last week I was talking about. I said I would chat about it this week. Politicians out of control, engaging in treason, and the country is being invaded. The Varsity police at this absolute clown show. So what you've got here is a guard that's decided to have a bit of sing-song with the lads. I mean, everyone in the comments, by the way, was just like, not surprised to see who it is, in saying that was a female, and with the haircut and all that, they're like, not shocked to hear this and see this. Some people in the comments were like, she's not too bad now, and others were saying she should give up the day job and just do singing full time. So there you go, lads. That's a good one. So we'll go through a couple of stories here now, and that's some of the pictures that I showed you this evening. Jane, we're at the flying in there now, around nearly 2 hours at this stage, are we? I know there's a little bit of messing earlier on there on Instagram. We've seen the people were hopping off at that stage, and that's okay. We understand that. That's no bother at all, especially when you're having technical issues. People are like, I don't want to hang around. That's cool. We've got 140 here, though. That's good numbers. That's good numbers, lads. Like to see that. Derek could probably hit me up later on and be like, a bit of trouble in the chat there earlier on. Over 30% no-show in Dublin's TV licence court. Take a swig, lads. Wet the whistle there. Over 30% no-show in Dublin's TV licence court. Defendants facing TV licence fee prosecutions failed to turn up to court and were convicted and fined in their absence. Well, what happened with the company beginning with P when they decided not to turn up to court? What happened to them? Were they convicted and fined in their absence? No? I don't think I put their article up. I probably should. People taking a page out of their book. Speculatively. So what you've got here now is over 30%. Now, I'm going to say this to you, and this is the way the media floated out, right? Over 30%. So just look at that. Just those two words, okay? Over 30%. Was it 40? Was it 50? 60? 70? 80? 90? 100%? Because that's what over 30% means. It could mean 31%. It could mean 32%. But how come you've just said over 30%? See, what, in my opinion, now I'm only giving my opinion when I say these things. In my opinion, what this is saying is We don't really want to reveal the exact number, because that'll give people ideas. And we don't want that. That's bad news. So instead, what we'll do is we'll just throw out a percentage there. It's always a round figure, by the way. Anytime you see the media say anything, you'll have to get better at this, lads. You really will. Every time you see them, it's always a round figure. Why do you think that is? In my opinion, it's to give people a bit of a whoa. Because if they said, hey, guess what, guys, 74% decided they weren't turning up to this, people would go, well, that's quite an amount of people. That's a lot. And the fact that you said it's 74%, that's large. Whereas you say 70% to someone, right? And I'm just saying it, just the way I think. Maybe other people think differently. But 74%, as you know, is closer to 100 than it isn't. 70% is less than 100, and it's not as close to 100 as 74 is. Okay? That's very simple. People out there that are saying, there's 72 different genders and 70 is more than 74. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Anyway, 70% still gives them the out of, 30% there. That's a big number. But when you say over 30%, 30% isn't a big number. So you're leaving people with the idea of maybe a few people didn't turn up. But you're not getting down to the brass tacks of it, which is how many people didn't turn up to this here. Very simple. So a lot of people decided that I'm not interested. Ireland's Defence Forces to get new US-style camouflage uniforms, current combat outfits to be phased over the coming years in favour of the DF combat clothing system. I was like, rainbow ones are they getting? Are they getting rainbow ones? They might as well. That's Ireland trans individual here set to speak to children at a family-focused event on something to do with this here. Ireland's leading trans lobby group will be participating in an event aimed at supporting children and young people with this here. Well, that's not good. So Richard Keeble put that up there. So that's not good at all there, is it? Now, every one of these people would say, I'm a woman. And I'd look at them and be like, well, you look like Herman Munster, so I disagree with you there on that one. Rockdown Barbecue's alleged host met Gardaí alone after 20 people fled into the fields, court hears. This is still going on. Number of cars parked in the yard of property, 2 of which were still running or playing music when Gardaí arrived. Like, imagine that there's still court proceedings going on and stupid articles like this being written. Instead of like, I don't know, Gardaí going and arresting politicians that were up to all sorts there. What about Golfgate there, lads? What's the story with that? Oh, we just took a couple of people onto the backbench with there now. Yeah, we're very unhappy with people that decided to do that. Gardaí turn up and arrest any of you people? No, they didn't. Well, it seems like that's a rules for D, not rules for me attitude there, and that isn't good. And everyone looks at that and they go, no, not having that. So why are these people doing this? Well, there's some people that are out there that are saying, well, it's because they decided to engage in the first place instead of telling these people, go away. Allegedly, spectively. So anyway, we'll keep going, but that's more nonsense that's going on. Now, this is an article I wanted to get to, and this comes from the Irish Times. Now, I looked at this article I did, and I'll be honest with you, I've been saying it over the last few months, and indeed probably the last year or so, where I've said, well, give us an incident that happens and provide proof of it, receipts of it. What's the story with that? And it says, rock thrown through window of councillor's family home with warning to stop supporting refugees. Very specific messaging. Father, 78, of councillor who lives alone in Ballybrack house, shaken by attack, but says he won't give in to those people. Now, the guy in the picture here has been, from what I understand online, I'm only saying what people have been saying online. This guy, Hugh Lewis, has been removed from People Before Profit. That's my understanding as to what's going on there. And if you've been removed from People Before Profit, why were you removed from People Before Profit? That's probably nigh impossible now, is it not? Like, you've got Paul Murphy that's out there that doesn't know what gender his child is. You have Breed Smith that's, I don't think, running in the next election. I think she's made that indication clear because she made a big boo-boo when she decided to support George and Kencho. And you've got a number of others that are out there as well too. What's that other dude that's running around there? The man that's Stirga Soldier did the drawing of him there beforehand. Gino Kenny, that's it. You've got him there as well too that's actually telling people in areas, don't want your vote. and Hugh Lewis wasn't deemed fit for people before profit. Anyway, let's have a look here now and see what went on. Well, allegedly a rock was thrown through the window, and it had this note attached to it on cardboard. Now, they've said in the article that the guards will investigate this. Okay, well, let us know when you find anyone that's responsible for that there now. Good lads, thanks for that. But who was the author of the article was what really piqued the interest of myself and others, because I saw a lot of people online that said the same thing. Kitty Holland was the author of this article. Now, there are 2 articles that she's written in the last number of months that have conjured up this image of people getting violent and attacking these people. I have never, now I'll be honest with you on this one, I have never heard of Hugh Lewis beforehand. And I will be honest with you when I say this. Why would people do this with Hugh Lewis? Do you know what I'm saying? And now again, I keep saying it to people, and I'll always say it, I'm not supporting or endorsing anything. I'm disavowing anyone that would do anything like this. But when I look at this and I say, why would they do this? Because you look at the people that are actually responsible for what's going on here in Ireland, and they're not Hugh Lewis. So why would people give a rat's about what this guy is doing and saying to this extent? They would. To me, they wouldn't. To me, they wouldn't. To me, there's other people that they probably would care about what they're doing and saying more. Again, allegedly, speculatively. Again, not endorsing, not supporting, and certainly disavowing anyone that would do anything like this. 100%. So, why is this happening? And why has this been written? Well, as I said, the burden of proof now is on them. So, this is where we're at now. And I've said it beforehand, I am more than happy for when situations like these arise in terms of when someone is caught and held accountable. Let us know when this person is caught and held accountable, because if you don't have anybody that's caught and held accountable for this, how would we and why would we believe you about this story, considering who the author is? And this is what I'm saying to you about the Irish Times themselves. They have left themselves wide open, because when they post a story like this that's authored by Kitty Holland, why would anybody believe it after the Ashtown stuff? This is what I'm saying to you about journalistic integrity. Why would anybody buy into this? I certainly wouldn't. Because if I've looked at that situation that's happened with Ashtown and said, there's an awful lot of holes in that story, there's more holes in that story than Swiss cheese. And when I see this, then I'm like, come on. Like, you've let this woman, anybody else, any other reporter in your checkbook or whatever it might be, under your contract or whatever it might be, you could have sent out to this one, bar this one. Like, come on. And then you see her then at Ballybrack talking to the Gardaí. Why? What's the story there? Again, allegedly, speculatively her, but a lot of people have said that it was her. So, I don't know about you, but when I see a story like this, I don't believe it. I don't believe it first and foremost, because I think this sounds just too out there to be true at all. And secondly, I don't believe it because of who the author is. You see, it's like the boy that cried wolf. When you decide to turn around and tell porkies, or what seems to be porkies, allegedly, speculatively, well, then people don't buy into what you're saying from here on out. Like, I'm watching this channel steadily growing numbers up to nearly 6,000 subscribers, nearly there, probably about 150 short now of getting to 6,000. I'm seeing the numbers steadily increase on live streams, which is amazing. And I have to thank you that are listening into this and listening on replays. Thank you. I appreciate that. But the media has never taken the moment to look at itself and say, why are people questioning what we're saying? And why are people questioning when an article like this that comes out, and you look at this, and from everybody that's looking at this, they go, well, that's terrible. And especially it's happening to the outlet and stuff like that. Because to me, my mind, whatever about this fella, it goes to the outlet. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's mind goes towards that. But it just doesn't seem to add up. This guy that nobody really knows, that might have said a few things now, that, but to me, there's other players that are in this game that you're looking at and going, why would they target this guy? Like, this is what I'm saying to you. Like, again, not supporting, not endorsing, certainly disavowing. And I'm just saying to you, what sort of sense is this? It doesn't make any. And I think a lot of people have sniffed that out. And I'll tell you this now, because I'll probably do a video of it anyway. But the Irish Times put this up, they did on Twitter, and they got lambasted in the comments because a lot of people put in, oh my God, Kitty Smollett, and they were calling her, and I was put underneath it, and I said, Kitty Holland, and then lol emojis. Like, literally any other reporter that had written this, maybe you would have gathered traction on the story. Maybe you would have gotten people's ear, and people would have went, "Oh wow," but that was a very big faux pas. You know what I mean? And all I'm saying is, you just have looked at this story and said, oh, I don't know. That's from the outset. From the outset, because this person isn't viewed as a reliable reporter anymore by the large majority of people. You know, and Gript did a great job in poking holes in the story that she told, and then themselves going down there. We've got Grim that sends in the five says Kitty Smollett is a Marxist. Her father is big in PBP. I think I talked about that beforehand, yeah. So that's true. Insofar as the father was involved with PBP, allegedly, speculatively, should we say that? Anyway, I think you can look at all the stuff online. I think I did that in the video anyway, because I marked out a couple of people and was like, well, there's Richard Boyd Barrett. Guess who his stepdad is? Jeremy Irons. You know, that's a very strange circumstance there to be in, isn't it? Anyway, I don't look at stories like this anymore and go, I believe these people, especially with people now that are, if what the article is saying is supporting refugees. Like, I look at this and I go, chances of you trying to be in on this is probably, again. Anyway, EU says pesticide giants breach law over withheld brain toxicity studies. Great stuff to know. Agrochemical giants Bayer and Syngenta are in breach of legal obligations for withholding information on the brain toxicity risk of pesticides, the European Commission has heard. Great, that's fantastic. That's just kind of going to show us everything that we already knew anyway. So are they going to be held accountable for this? Nah, probably not. So this all just factors in with the aspartame that I talked about last week. The group are saying now, yeah, no, that's a possible carcinogen. So are you going to ban it? No, we're just going to label that's a possible carcinogen. Are you going to label that on the bottles now? No. Cans? No. Going to tell people worldwide? No. Going to make a song and dance over every 15 minutes? No. Going to tell people that Ireland has the third highest cancer rate in the world? No. Okay, weird. Very strange. Doesn't seem like you're interested in health then. Minister hears the concerns of Navan traders over crime. The absurdity in this is so high. The creation of a 5th patrol unit in Navan Garda Station was proposed at a special meeting involving the Minister for Justice Helen McEntee and local traders. Lads, excuse me, local traders, would you not be better calling off for this person to be sacked from her job? Would that not be a better thing to do? You see, this is the ludicrousness of this country and the people who run it. This woman is clearly doing a bad job, so much so that Navan, and I'm telling you lads, Navan has grown over time, and it has grown in a negative way. And a lot of people that are in Navan see that and they respond to that very accurately, and they say, yeah, you're right there in Ingenite. It used to be a fine area, and now it's a bit dodgy. And we've been through Navan lots in the last number of years, and it has changed big time, and it is becoming a bit scary looking down there. So what are these people doing? They're kowtowing around the problem, tiptoeing around it. Why? Should you local traders not be gathering together and going, lads, this woman's causing a big problem here. Look what's going on. No. We'll open more stations there, lads, and we'll do something about that. But sure, only last year they were talking about closing down the hospital in the place. Sure, that makes no sense. If you're saying the crime is up, that means then the possibility of violent crimes are up now. Yeah, it would. So they're actively trying to close a hospital at the same time. That doesn't make sense. None of it does. But ultimately, you should be blaming her and saying, yeah, that's your fault. Instead, it's now we'll open up more stations. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to have probably 6 people in the station. You're going to have rosters on, rosters off as well too, which then means that you're down numbers already. That means you have to have someone patrolling. You need to have someone to cover their breaks then. You're going to have virtually no one in the place. Then you might have someone that wants to hang around and answer phones. It's basically going to be hot fuzz. Like, I don't understand these people at all. Instead of just getting to the point and saying, here, this one's failing on our job here. Crime is skyrocketing in this place. We're dealing with all sorts here. It's not good enough. We want her moved on. We want someone else. They're talking to her and saying, I'll open another station there. For what? For more people to sit around twiddling their thumbs? It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It really is. This is an absurd place, this is. And the traders are as absurd as anybody else. And publicans the same. these people decided to write an article, Football 365, ranking the TNT Sport punditry team from the dull Michael Owen to effervescent Joe Cole. Decided to give the women top bill in there. I was like, did a woman write this? Garda Commissioner agrees to end emergency sniffles roster. The Garda Commissioner has agreed to discontinue controversial emergency roster introduced during the sniffles and revert to the previous roster. This stuff was over since like last year, don't know. What's the story? Why is this? Why did it only revert now? Nobody seems to be asking this. Nobody's like, everything went back to normal there fairly quickly. So why was this a thing? What was the story here? Weird stuff. If you've ever seen this fella, they know what the media are great at doing, by the way, is they're great at taking a picture of this fella and they make him look a bit like, like he is there, a bit of presence or something. See him talking, different ball game. Totally different ball game. Schools seeking voluntary contributions of up to €350 from parents. Norman Fowley says no compulsion should be placed on any parent to pay. So moments like these give you a clear indication as to what these people are looking at and how they're doing it. Movements to give the state more control is what is going on here, in my humble opinion. You feel like you have an hour in something when you're paying. Now, that's a valuable point I think that everyone has, and they understand that and they give that. When you're paying for something, you feel like you have something to say and you feel like that you have, as I said, an oar in the water when it comes to these things. But when you're not paying for something, it's like when you go out for the dinner with someone and you say, all right, I'm going to look after the bill. And they go, no, it's all good. And then you're like, shit. Because guess what now? I was thinking about getting a dessert, but I'm not going to get the dessert because someone else is looking after the bill. You feel a little bit like, okay, right, well, I'm not paying for it. So, this is the same type of thing applied. I saw a video last week. I was talking about this with the point man. Saw a video last week there of a fella that was in, and this just goes to show you money and the difference in it and just how you view things. I've been watching Tate. I've been looking at Tate and listening to him and what he's been saying. Private jets, clubs, houses, Dubai, all of the lot, right? Now, whatever you think about Tate, whatever it might be, talking in the millions he is, hundreds of thousands, right? Saw this chap I did winning, I think it was a game of blackjack in Vegas, put 60k on the table, ordinary head. Obviously not if he's putting 60k on the table. Someone would be like, what are you talking about? No one has 60k to drop on it. He won 160,000, and this is how I'm saying to you, I think more of an ordinary head. Won 160,000 and ran around the place he did. Ran around it as if he won the lotto. Now, you and I both look at that and go, well, 160,000 has totally been diminished over the last few years, where you go, can't afford a gaff with that. Can pay off a large chunk of it for sure, but I can't buy a full house in Ireland for that figure. This guy's running around. So when you look at that, and as I said to you before about Hollywood celebrities having to pay $8 a month, and then they were crying about that, saying, no, I'm not doing that. Like, that's how easily bought off certain people are. So what I'm just saying is that when it comes down to it and money, everyone has a price, and everyone looks at these things and they go, well, yeah, €350 is a lot of money. A lot of people think that's a lot of money. And, I agree with you. But this is the movement that these people are making. Well, wouldn't it be better if it was free? Or we're giving you free this, free that. And then as a result, then your opinions become lessened. And, well, oh, no, you said that you were taking this for free. It's like, when you know someone as well, and be guilty of it now myself, handing stuff off to people and it's free. And then certain people, now I know certain people, by the way, when you start giving you something for free, they get on a roll and they start giving you more things for free, and it's junk. An awful lot of the time, they're wanting to get rid of their own junk because they're like, oh, I don't want that to do with that. Here, you can take that, and you have to dispose of it. You have to get rid of it whatever way you might see fit, or use it, whatever like that. And it's on a roll until you go, no, that's all right there. And some of these people go, oh, you don't want that for free? Well, I won't give you anything now anymore. Get offended about it. And that's you got to look at the psychology of these things here, and that to me is what this is saying. It's like, oh, no, we'll give you that now. I think that's terrible that you're paying $350. What about if it was free? Oh, that's grand, yeah. Okay, right now, guys, what you have to learn about is 72 genders, and the Filipino penguin. That's the gender that you feel like you're identifying with today. Yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, great. And what's that, Paddy? You had something to say about that? Nah, no, you can't have anything to say about this. You're not paying for this here, Paddy. That's it. That's it, in a nutshell, in my opinion. TV license fee renewal dropped 25% in the first week of July. 3,428. Not a round number. Fair play to you, media. Fewer households renewed their license fee as the controversy around payments to Ryan Tubridy emerged. Now, as I keep saying to people, this is a work in my view. This is like the wrestling there, when you see someone, they're like, well, you're acting in one way, but you're actually doing another thing. What they're trying to cast this as is, okay, guys, nobody's going to pay for this anymore because of what happened with this payment saga. Excuse me, it's got to do with the payment saga, and also it's got to do with the fact that you've been telling lies. And you've been telling lies for a very long time. And a lot of people, and not only that, but you've also decided to annoy people to the point where I would never, ever turn RTE on again. I couldn't care less what was being shown on RTE. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less if they had, I don't know, what would we say, an Eric Cantona documentary that was exclusively on RTE. I still wouldn't turn it on. If you're not getting the point, I absolutely love Eric Cantona, but I wouldn't watch it because I wouldn't give them the time of day. Not a chance, no interest. And in fact, an awful lot of what I would consume nowadays wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be anything to do with TV because you got to look and see what's going on in the real world. And also then I have my own hobbies, as I also talk about on this channel. I talk about action figures and the likes of that as well. So when it comes to these things, lads, it makes sense why people are not renewing these things. But the way they'll spin it is, oh, you're so naughty for doing that. Well, actually now, calling you naughty isn't going to work anymore because you've been opened up to this story. Well, what we'll do is we'll have to find a workaround with this where it means that if, say, for example, 3,428 decide not to do this, like they can't imprison all of those people. I know what you'll say. I'll try and make an example out of 5, 10, 15 of these people. Sure, that's what they'll try and do. But they're not wanting to do that because they're like, well, if push comes to shove, a lot of these people are telling you online that they don't care. They're like, I'll happily sit in jail. I mean, people are looking at it now as part of the hero's journey, They're looking at it and saying, well, our Lord and Saviour was jailed. The heroes of 1916 were jailed, And they're going, yeah, well, okay. Because here's the thing, and something that it's not talked about enough. Now, other media organizations are talking about this, which I find ironic, and I think it's hilarious how far we've pushed these media organizations because they wouldn't be having conversations like these at all. They're talking about the fact that people are saying, well, I don't want to be looking at RTE. I don't watch RTE. I won't watch RTE ever again. We push the media into that talking point now. They don't want to be saying that because here's the thing, and when it comes down to it, it's like this. The media are afraid because if RTE is something that people have no interest in, what do all of these other little channels have any, I suppose, do they have any sort of future going forward? Because if you were looking and you were saying, well, Off the Ball and News Talk are parting all of the nonsensical things that I think are nonsense, that the same thing that's happening on RTE, I'm not going to watch them either. So when one big domino falls, the other little dominoes fall. And that's why you're starting to see a big panic on them, why you're starting to see them very afraid when they see likes of Satirical Souls or Irish Inquiry, the Irish Gay. You've got their reply out there. You've got many people that are out there that are doing things and they're doing it off their own bat. And they're doing it because they're interested in it and they're saying, well, hang on, this is wrong. Like, that's the thing. The media absolutely despise people like me because they're going, he's doing it just because he's doing it. He's talking to people. He's got 150 people here now tonight listening to him talk on and about what's going on. But because there's no filter on it and there's no strings, and I say no filter on it, there's only so much you can say in this place, as you know. But there's nobody above me going, oh no, you can't do that, you can't say that, and like that. Different story. So that's why people don't want to tune into this stuff anymore. They don't want to be listening to RTE and them talking about the orange weather status, and that means that the wind is blowing a little bit harder than normal. Like, what are you on about? So, not interested in that people anymore. And there's many reasons. Aggression as a result of self-control, not lack thereof. Neuroscience news, great stuff. I throw in little articles like these in because I'm like, well, it's good to see these things be published. A new study suggests that aggression is often a deliberate, controlled act inflicted to maximize retribution. I like that article. RTE crisis. Bankhurst thanks TV license fee payers for loyalty as sales drop by almost €1 million. Director General says events have cast such a dark shadow over RTE. You can see my thoughts on that above. And to me, it's great to see RTE now starting to be like, but Make no mistake about it. Catherine Martin was very clear about it with Griff there, talking about a public service broadcaster. Like, listen, what is going on with you? You were trying to set up a ministry of truth here in this country, and you're talking about the public broadcaster. Why would anybody have any trust in that? Like, you're not offering any reason as to why we should trust that, and you're well in the know when it comes to the fact that this is an organization that is not offering up political dissidents to come onto debates or anything like that, because you won't do it, and you try and hamstring it every single time. Like, you get Philip Dwyer onto one of those shows and have him debate Leo Varadkar. See what happens. See what sort of support Philip gets. But you're not going to do that. You won't. Because you know what the story is, which then leads into a thing which people have been talking about for a very long time, which is that seems very politically biased then. That's not what a public broadcaster is supposed to do. They're supposed to look at these things and they're supposed to go, okay, well, everyone has an equal say. You have enough time to be put towards PBP on your shows. Why not talk to Philip? Philip's after making a big mark across the country. Why not have Satirical Soldier on? Why not have Tracy O'Mahony on? Why not have Derek Bloig on? Why not have the Irish Inquiry on? You know what I'm saying? But you're not inviting any of these people on that have a lot to say. Instead, you're like, oh, don't look at that over there. Because guess what? People would actually look at that and they go, hang on here. We're looking at a woman that's sitting on talking like this. And then you're seeing Philip that's going, all right, lads, how's it going? Because guess what? People don't link in with the person that's talking like this. They link in with the likes of Philip that goes, all right, lads, how's it going? Which is why, and I'll come back to the point as I've been saying for a very long time, these people have realised that the momentum is in the podcast game, by the way. And this is something that was identified by that fella called Robert, and he has a surname that happens to align with Kathleen Kennedy. He noticed, and he's talking about it going, podcast way forward here. If he's noticed that, Dave noticed that. And that's why you're seeing podcasts that are owned here by Bauer. In, for example, the likes of the Talking Ball Bags there. You've got another one there that's hosted by two girls, to Hold My Drink, it's called. So you've got these type of things that are out there, and these people are like, okay, what we do, we'll get the Talking Ball Bags, we get them talking to me, Martin. That's a winner there, lads. Sound. Okay, when do you have Phil on the stream there, lads? When do you have Irish Inquiry on there? Anytime soon? No. Oh, well then, that just looks the way it looks like. So, I could keep saying. No surprise when people see these things and they see the drop. CNN tries to condition Americans to accept lab-grown chicken. There you go. You just need to look at that headline, lad. It says it all, really. They're mad for this lab-grown stuff. Why? Because they can push anything and everything they want into these things. That's why they want cows off the land. They want chickens off the land. They want to be able to just pump whatever they want into these things. New White House, this is 4 days ago, by the way. White House on UFOs. I'm not surprised that the things have already landed and are occupying the place, if I'm being honest. Pure lizards running around the place, lads. Some of these phenomena we know have already had an impact on our training ranges. What does that mean? Does that mean that these things have landed on them? Or have you chased them? Has there been an interaction? Everybody knows that these things... Here's the thing, right? They confirmed all of this was going on during the sniffles. They were like, yeah, these things are real. And like, not a mention of it. So the fellas that didn't call on lunatics and conspiracy theorists for decades, just think about that for a moment. For decades, they call these fellas lunatics, like Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar, if you have not looked into him, just as an offshoot here, Bob Lazar was a guy that says, no, I worked on these things, had very intimate knowledge of these things, and then they were like, oh no, he never worked for us. And then he had a paper clipping that he saved, and he was like, this proves who I am here. And they tried to erase him. It was like Men in Black. Anyway, I keep going. You see this here there. It says, you've got this from Douglas A. McGregor. There are currently 3 branches of government, and that's your 3. Very clear and easy to see. You've got Donald Trump. This is Ted Putin. If you don't make a deal, we're going to give him a lot, and we'll have deal done in 1 day. Now, that's not really what he said. That's part of it. But he was saying, look, I'd have already sorted this out if it was done. But in saying that, when he said if it was done, what he means is if he was back sitting in the place instead of doing what he's doing now, which is doing the rounds, and the other fella is running around the place uninhibited. So You got to look at these things, guys, and go, why would you even support the fella running the blue and yellow place? Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're all part of the theatrics and the circus. You know the story anyway. Everybody knows. Bud Light sales tank over July 4th holiday amid the Doubtfire backlash. Lovely to see. It's always good to see. Tommy Robinson shared this as the good people at Dundalk dealing with imported individuals doing things like this. Be careful when your kids are out. This piece of, following girls around Murhavena, more up by Duns and Apple Green. He was picked up, but out and about now on his way back up. So a lot of these people have been lifted, and then an hour later, yoink, back out onto the streets there. Not good news there at all. At all. Matt Walsh that says it's not just political correctness that prompts Hollywood to make white characters non-white. Snow White is now brown because the filmmaker viewed the character's whiteness as a flaw to be fixed. It's anti-whiteism and should be called such. I agree with him. Enoch Burke ordered to pay Skills legal costs. We've a total misjustice going on here, lads, or injustice, I should say. Teacher Enoch Burke, who was dismissed from his position for alleged gross misconduct, has been ordered to. Now, that's a funny one. Alleged gross misconduct. That's an interesting word to have put in there. Has been ordered to pay legal costs to the Wilson's Hospital School. Why? They've initiated all of this shit. They've started all of this here. And then they decide to post the likes of the rainbow flag on Twitter. The two old fellas holding it. Fairness to this fella that's a young lad. He's stood up to this nonsense. And that's what I'm talking about, stewards in our society. These two old fellas standing up there with the rainbow flag. Oh, look at us there now. We're getting 4 likes there on Twitter. Idiots. You're running a Christian school. Like, what are you doing? You're totally against the word of our Lord. You're totally against the Bible, and certainly the one that you're believing in, because the version of it that you're believing in is different to the one that I am, because you're a different section of Christianity than I am. However, I'm willing to support guys like this because I'm going, well, he's standing up for it. And I had a couple of goofballs, by the way, when I put this up on Twitter. I was just like, if Enoch wanted it, he should run for election. And a couple of goofs were like, oh, it'd be funny to see that because, he'd just cry again and his mother would be picking him up. A lot of these people I responded to, and it was just like, your mother mustn't love you with the way you spoke about his. At least his mum loves him. And they don't know what way to take that. They're like, what are you talking about? He's just weird. And I'm like, no, you're weird, but there's something strange about you when you're deciding to talk about a man like that you don't even know, and he's standing for his values and principles. Why do you want to be talking to kids about if they're a they, them, or if they're this, that, and the other? And these people just balk at this. They don't know. So what do they do? Well, the Belt Ninja Night decided to put up a poll on Twitter because I was just like, right, okay, we'll take the goofballs on. And I said, who would you rather as a politician in Ireland, Enoch Burke or Leo Varadkar? And a whopping 94% said Enoch Burke. There you go. That's what people think. And I specifically selected Varadkar because I said, there's a couple of attributes there now that surely some of these people would go. And funnily enough, there was one idiot that wrote underneath it and was like, this is an echo chamber poll. My Twitter account is open viewing for everybody. So I don't know about you, but you were beaten in that one. I could put out the poll again tomorrow. I'd probably do the same numbers. So there you go. But this goes to show you as well to the alleged gross misconduct. Now, a number of comments that were in the subsequent article that I shared, because I was very well liked on the post there. I think over 100 likes there on me saying Enoch Burke should run and for an election. A couple of them are saying, well, it's done outside the school. I don't know what way that's perceived, because to be honest with you, the way I perceive it is that he's turned up there for a reason. There must be a legal reason. There must be a reason that if he's deciding to challenge them, that he can be back paid for turning up to work, and he was fit to work, then he turned up for work. If he just goes away, well then, I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it. All I'm saying is what I'm thinking is there, to be honest with you. So fair play to Enoch, and I hope he keeps going. I hope he keeps getting the support from the people, because that's absolute nonsense. The school started it. He questioned something in public, which is allowed to do. And this is what I'm saying about that video earlier on from Baddy Brack. Why was a guard intervening when a fella is asking a question to allegedly Katie Holland? I thought women were equal to men, lads. I thought this is what you were doing. I thought that's why you were standing there in the uniform hanging around, lady. Thought you were all equal. How come fellas can't ask these women questions in public? And you see, this is the thing. You've got all sorts of characters running around this country now with the border being wide opened, but they've laser focused in on Enoch Burke because he had the audacity to question a woman in public, to say how ridiculous it was a decision to try and include someone that thought they were a day them and they were changing all sorts of stuff. He was right to do what he was doing. And everybody that I've bumped into Everyone that I've spoken to about this man have all agreed unanimously that he was right. But these people won't let go of this, and they won't, because that's the thing. The state have been embarrassed when it comes to this here, because everyone's looking at this going, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is. Nobody believes in that. The chap should be supported. And yet then you've got the courts that are acting the way they are, which is they don't want to hear him, they don't want to listen to his sister, they have problems with his sister, they have problems with all sorts they do. But to me, when you look at it in black and white in particular, whatever way you might say that they behave, I couldn't care less if they're jumping up and down on the court. Really couldn't, because the person that's sitting there in the gown and the wig is no different than you and me. They really aren't. Couldn't care less. So when you sit there and say, oh, their behaviour in court because they're shouting to the judge, I'm happy, because here's the thing. Why would you sit there and listen to yourself be lambasted by these people who are all in with this nonsense? Instead of what should have happened from the first time that this happened, should have been absolutely laughed at by a judge and told the school to go on away with themselves. Instead, they've dragged this fella now through over a year now of this pure and utter nonsense. And now they're saying to him, you have to pay their fees. For what? For what? Stupid. All-female presenting lineup to lead football coverage on TNT Sports. Fantastic stuff there, lads. Switch to beIN Sports. Willie O'D, Justice Minister Helen McEntee should focus on tackling crime and stop playing to the woke gallery. You should be concerned about Artemau there, Willie. That's down talking nonsense in Limerick. There, she's part of your party. You should be more concerned about that. But funnily enough, this is where you start to see it now. You're starting to see politicians start to turn and see what's becoming popular. So Willie O'D. Now, I'm highlighting Willie, by the way, because Willie was questioned outside the Dáil, I think, a week or two ago about what he voted and how he voted. The head was down and he was nearly running up the road. So we'll give an answer as much as anything, because why would you say yes, or why wouldn't you say, I didn't vote for that, you know? But Willie, if you've noticed, has been pushed out over the last couple of years. And you noticed it as well too when it came to the sniffles. Willie was the chief man when the opinion started to turn, and especially the way it's gone now, with the opinion vastly outweighing what she is wanting to bring in. Willie was pushed out, and he people would be like, I'm making a song out of that, or maybe I'm going to quote that from now on. This guy was moved on out and was given the ability to go, guess what, guys, we think she's wrong, or we think that's wrong. And everyone went, yeah, well done, Willie there. Fair play to you. We agree with you. And then that was a response then that they took feedback from when it came to the civils, and they were like, okay, knock her off there, lads. And they did. Did Willie challenge the leadership of Fianna Fáil? No. Is he doing it here now? No. Like, that's what I'm saying to you. Why is every single Fianna Fáiler sitting here now looking at this nonsense go on, absolutely and positively know what they're going to be greeted with when they go to people's doors? Because they're all sitting and they're agreeing with this. They're voting for it. And they're not saying nothing. And now Willie's just started being sort of teased out there. He's been teased out there for people to go, yeah, no, we agree with him there. You know what I'm saying? This is all by design, and they're waiting to see what sort of response they get from this one. Less than a year ago, I wrote here about the growing problem of street crime and wanton antisocial behaviour. The article was prompted by an alarming increase in crime. So, like, to me, this makes sense, of course, when you have an open borders policy, lads. Like, there's no surprise. Oh, you don't know what's causing more crime. Open borders. That causes more crime, evidently. Not only that then, but you're deciding to look at the role model, which is supposed to be what the Taoiseach is, getting away from charges when he was under a criminal investigation. How is Luke O'Neill still walking around the place and not being charged for anything? What about Neffet? What about Tony Houlihan? What about media? What about all these people? What about Ryan Tubridy? Know what I'm saying? You just look at it and you go, pure nonsense, lads. This is a good one here on Gab. If we're so awful, why do you keep moving to our neighbourhoods? You don't see anybody moving over to Lagos, see if that's from, like, I don't know, Ballybrack. Mad stuff. Library protesters tearing up books is outrageous. Honester says. Now, Micheál Martin was recently shouted down by a fella with a man bun when he was at a university there recently talking about climate change. Oh, it's very terrible, isn't it? Nonsense. Micheál Martin says those who tear up library books should be prosecuted for criminal damage. Now, what they're going to do is, and this is where they're going with this from here, lads. They're going to start calling people. Now, they've already started to sort of draft it out. the people that have the tricolour up are actually far right. The tricolour has become a far right symbol. This is what they'll start doing. I'm telling you, they're already flaunting that sort of talk out. Now they're starting to go with this here. Now what they'll go with next is these people are akin to people that burn books in history, if you know what I'm talking about. Do you really want to open that door? Because if you open that door, and this is all I'm saying, cause and effect is a real thing, and people are looking at it and they go, lie to about the blue and yellow country, lie to about Afghanistan, lie to about Iraq, lie to about Vietnam. Wonder if we were lied about that other thing. And you'll find that most people will go back that far and go, I think we were. Bad news. So I wouldn't go down that road if I was you. All I'm saying is you're stopping short of saying it, but what you're prosecuted for criminal damage, it's absolutely unbelievable. You've got this woman up here, right, basically attacking, not this one here, flagrantly trying to cast aside the Constitution, and a lot of these ministers and indeed politicians think the same. How many of them have been prosecuted for going against the Constitution? How about that? None. The absolute audacity, the gall of this man, and I say man, I use that term very loosely when it comes to this slithery individual, to say they should be prosecuted for criminal damage. You couldn't even hold yourself in a debate against a fellow with a man bun. Nobody should be listening to you. 100 years ago, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in. People would laugh. Look at him there. Nonsense. Young children with high levels of autistic traits may show some alterations in self-conscious emotions. They're pushing this thing big time here, lads, now, by the way. They're starting to just wallop article after article out. Side post. TV license fee likely to be replaced by revenue collected broadcast charge. So how long have we been calling this? Been calling this for a very long time. Revenue collected broadcast charge for all public service outlets in wake of RTE pay scandal. So not only are one shitty company going to get money, potentially, loads of shitty companies are going to get money, potentially, is what's been said here. TV license will not increase beyond €160, but is likely to be reformed into a broadcasting charge that will be collected from every household by revenue. You see, to me as well, when you look at this is essentially theft, isn't it? Like, is this not extortion? Because you're willfully going against the people now, and you're saying, no, people are saying, no, I don't want to engage in this stuff anymore. And they're like, well, it doesn't look like you're voluntarily giving this money, so we're just going to take it. Is that not theft? Where's the prosecution coming from whoever's calling for this here? Like, that's pure and utter nonsense, lads. So the Independent.ie have put this article out. Now, as I always say, the script is given to a lot of these places, allegedly, respectively, and they put out articles, and this article pops out, and next week you'll see another article. Then you'll start seeing a debate. Then you'll start seeing talking about it in the dog. Then you start seeing it being given public attention when you're seeing different media outlets covering it. And a lot of them that would be calling for this, and I'll just say it to you, I'm calling for this not to happen. I don't think this should happen at all. But look at the outlets, because if you're someone that's in here that doesn't like me or whatever like that, fair play to you. You've lasted a very long time if you don't like me to be listening in here. But look at the outlets that call for this to be a good idea. And in my opinion, the outlets that think that this is a good idea would say to me that they are standing in line there with the handout ready. That's what that would say to me. Because why would you call for this to be a good idea? Why would you call for this at all unless you were in part of that? I'm certainly not. They're not going to turn around and go, you know what, here in Engine Night, you've after been doing a phenomenal job for the last couple of years there, doing what you're doing here, talking on YouTube. You were getting there, fair play to you. They're not going to come along to me and do that. Absolutely not. They're not going to come along and say, you know what, fair play to you there now, you've done a great job, and we're looking after you. Not at all. They'll be doing it to all the other ones, though, now that have been held accountable and now have had to change their story multiple times. In my opinion, I've been very straightforward with where I've been. I've been very straightforward with being transparent with, hey, this is what I'm thinking on things. And I haven't, in my view, faltered, nor have I actually decided to do 180 because that's what the public thought with things. I've held me line with things, and that's how I go about it. If subscribers walk away, that's grand, no problem at all. If they come in, welcome, thanks. But when you see these articles and these outlets there that are possibly, potentially, allegedly, expectedly in line to earn from this, of course they're going to be cheering and whooping for this and saying this is a great idea and fair play. And the way they'll frame it is, look at all those evaders over there. Look at those evaders that weren't paying for it, and this is why you're in this sort of situation now. And what happens with a tax, by the way, just so you know, it won't be increased beyond €160. Well, I'm telling you now, give it 5 years, and that would be declared as a lie. Because when have these people ever said, "Oh no, that's it now"? Oh yeah, the USC is going to be temporary. Well, it looks like that's a permanent fixture, doesn't it? Remember when they said, "Hey guys, that the USC is going to be abolished"? That was also a lie, wasn't it? Because now it seems to be a permanent fixture, and they've actually, as far as I know, I think they've ruled as much. So they're like, "Oh no, we're not going to take that out there." So this sort of stuff here, and I'm telling you, when it comes to this sort of stuff of revenue being involved, that to me then also says this ideology and this thought of, "Hey guys, it's not going to be past €160." That to me will be proved very soon to not be true. So anyway, lads, this is where the news section part of the show ends. And when I say news section, what I like to do is, as you know, if you're new to this stream or you're new to the channel or anything like that, I like to talk about the various different things that we see in the media, give my opinion on it, give my thoughts on it, and obviously as well to try and guide it through with a bit of humour, and obviously show you as well other people like the likes of Off Grid Ireland. If you're not following them already, make sure you're following them over there. I mean, I like to shout out people all the time. It might be something that I might do now future, where I try and find an account that I haven't shouted out before, that I'm like, "Hey guys, go over and follow them over there, because they deserve the followership, because they're putting video after video that are showing what's going on, and fair play to them. I think it's great." So if you're still in here now, I'll see you next week, 7:30 Irish time, and I will talk to you then. So I'm going to chat to the chat now, and I know for some people this is the part that they'd like to jump out at. So thanks again for listening in live. Thanks for listening on a repeat if you've done that. And again, see you next week. So people having a good chat there in the chat about when there was a technical difficulty that happened earlier on. It's always the same. Elena says, Ninja is Parato being started to come out as a voice of opposition. Ain't you need to be called out as Sinn Féin in disguise? Question mark. Yeah, I think over the last while that I don't think Ain't you have done themselves any favours that haven't with some of the things that they've done. You know, and a lot of people, in my opinion, and I really agree with this point, you know, I see Ireland first, I see Irish Freedom Party, and then I see National Party, and that's kind of the order that I would go in. Ain't you? Great, some of the stuff that they've said, for sure they have, but like that, I'm not sure. Better than Sinn Féin, sure, 100%, but, you know, a lot of people have correctly pointed out that Ain't you were involved in bringing people to, now again, I don't know whether this is even, but you just say it anyway, respectively bringing people to Voldemort centres and stuff like that. So that's a big allegation that's been made online. Jerome Reedy says, "Ninja, we want the Leo voice." Stop. We've got the IDGAF community says, "Guys, beware of online scams. I heard some Egypt got scammed by paying €2 billion for a children's hospital." Imagine the fact that we have a country here that's so physically and fiscally irresponsible when it comes to these things. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So out there. Let's keep going here now. Yeah, people not fans of public order, the public order unit here. And let's keep going. Tim on the Island in here as well too. I don't think I've seen that one there before. There's a good question there. George Doherty, why do they wear baseball caps? You know, that's something I've been looking at more and more on YouTube recently. I've seen loads of fellas, particularly American fellas, sitting in their gaffs, and they do YouTube videos. I think that's very interesting to see. Like, why would you be wearing a baseball cap inside your gaff? But I don't know why the guys wear baseball caps. I'm unsure as to why that is. Is it to do something with how they are able to visualize things, or to keep the sun out? I don't know. It'd make more sense to wear sunglasses then, wouldn't it, really? A lot of people are questioning who and where these public order fellas are from. That's a fairly valid point there, now I'd say also. Yep, 100%. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the fact that you've got the Defence Force as well to openly recruiting and where these people are coming from, you know. That's a big point in time, I think. Let's see what else is going on here in the chat here. Joe Blog says 850 Irish Garda left and then taking on 1,000 more. Yeah, it doesn't make up the numbers there at all for them. Like, you know, logically, if 850 are going out, Well, then where are the other gang coming from? I'm just coming from the one place, are they? People are talking about France as well too in the chat. Yeah, France is still in a bit of bother. And it's going to continue to be like the whole of Europe will probably be in that situation not too long. You've also got, by the way, you have what am I saying again? Absolutely can't believe that. You haven't got an awful lot of people that view the same way in the likes of Hungary or Poland. They're not a big fan of what's going on. They're not going to have it either. Polish are some bios. Like I said before, the Eastern European lads that I know, they're just looking at things and they just shake their heads and they're like, what is going on here, lads? Why would you do it? Why would you get involved? Why would you open the borders up for these people, you know? You have to admire the Eastern European way of thinking, really do. But they've been through it all, like they've seen it all and they understand it. They're very wary about what these guys are up to and what happens when you enter into a country and have no respect for the morals, the histories, or traditions of the place. Flying through the chat here tonight now. In fairness to the chat now, have given me a good hand with saying at Ninja Night in the chat. Edmund Christo says Barbie was heavily inspired by the Bill Lilly doll. People are questioning why there wasn't 2 Irish girls in the advert for Aldi. Elena says, Ninja, remember back in the day when the big tech said they were coming to Ireland for the exemplary education and skills? What education and skills were they after? You know yourself there. You've got Apple there, and there's a big story about them for the last few years. Rumours of Apple buying Disney as well. That's a big one that's coming out. CST says Jaden Smith now modelling women's clothes, wherever women's waists are much higher. Maybe they haven't realised that yet. Stop, man. That's a cracker. That's an absolute cracker there. You've got a lot of weirdness going on in that Will Smith family, man. And honestly, I feel sorry for him. Really do. But it's his own fault in a way, I suppose, because he's let orders run amok. Sheepdog says Musk is running the AI and realising the woke he left pay for nothing in July and are in bed when most people working are up and working to pay for the socialist utopia. It's a great point there, Sheepdog, and I said it during the week. Power Rangers Lightning Collection, just talking about action figures, but it pertains to this, is basically going on hiatus, which means that they are saying that they don't make sales. Why is that? Well, a lot of the community are full of these people, these woke lefties they are, because ironically they see themselves in these characters that are basically space police that are up to, by and large, good things, but they've decided to wokeify it recently, and a lot of people are walking away. A lot of the base people are walking away. And some of the bigger channels, by the way, like MMPR Toys, was out there calling for out there things in support of George of St. George of Floydius. They were out there saying those things, and people are looking at it going, I don't agree with that. But those people don't purchase the merchandise, so that's why that's going under. Frank Brennan says Jurgen Klopp is not a good man, no longer support Liverpool. Well, he was very and truly interested in the Voldemorts. If the person is going out and they are not taking the Voldemort, it is like when you drive a car and you have plenty of beer and you, and like, no, that's not what that's like at all, Jorgen. Michael Brazil says Ninja 100%. Mark is going to be very sorry. It's about time he's put back in his box. Love that energy. Love that energy. Derek Man says 8 allegedly, speculatively now, folks. Allegedly, speculatively was off the charts here tonight. CST says great infectious laugh, Ninja Night. Let's keep going and having a look here. Liz Pepper says, wonder will they jail people of the TV license? They probably will, but I think a lot of people are going, sure, look. They really are. Air only BO1014 says Fabio D was acting the clown at the Tree Arena last week as usual. I've seen him getting a few pokes from a fella and the referee having to step in, by the way. It was their charity boxing match or something like that on. And the other fella didn't do much. And your man's like, oh, which sums it up, I think. Sean Max says Liverpool FC are now pure communist Marxist club. However, there's a big proportion of nationalists too who live in Liverpool to protest illegal immigrants in hotels there. And a big Republican interest in Liverpool Football Club and nationalists here from Ireland, which is unusual, because you're looking at that going, most of your fan base are like doing exactly as Sean is saying there. And then you're turning around going, country's wide open, man, no problem. It's weird. Endline Joe says young pronoun people are so gullible and programmable. 100%. Absolutely agree with you on that one. That's what they want to do. They want people programmed and easily programmed, and that they're very difficult to disengage from the Matrix and to disengage from the Truman Show, as I like to call it sometimes. Let's keep going here and have a look now through the chat. I saw the recent Flash movie, awful. I also seen the recent Transformers movie. It's absolutely terrible too. Elena says, Ninja, maybe RT deliberately produced the clip and keep the comments open as a covert research project to question everything. Yeah, that's true. I did view that like that as well. And I mean, I think it's always important to put the spoke in when they do things like that. Rex Power says, Ninja Knight, great show, brother. As always, hope it continues to grow and grow for you. People are hungry for the truth now. They're sick of the bull. See you all soon. God bless everyone in this fight. Aaron Gabrak, good to see you here, man. Absolutely brilliant to see you here. Fergus, honestly, man, you should be putting your stuff up on YouTube. Serious. Blue Graham once says, Ninja Knight, would you give the protest on the 13th of August shout out at the Custom House, please? We need numbers. 100%, man. So the 13th of August protest there at the Custom House. Give us a time there as well. Blue Graham one would be great there. Fred Frederick says, how's she cutting, boss? Good to see you here now. That's a good comment there now. Hang on. Zarowski, where's the rock, the note, and the broken window? My thoughts, man. Von Malone, forensics for the DNA on the rock. Yeah. Imagine. Like, do you think it's cold now again this July? Oh, there's the climate change. It's wet July. It's cold. Yeah, great. Looking forward to summer and it's not warm. And the days that are warm, they're like, it's absolutely scorching out there in Ireland. It's unreal. Keep yourself indoors. Ridiculous. So anyway, but the likelihood of them finding someone on that one's very low. But as I said, the onus is on you now. The onus is on you. Mary Q. Phillips says, here was Richie BB's sidekick, left PvP to go independent. This doesn't make sense. No, doesn't. Doesn't make sense at all. Mary Q. Phillips says, the people in Ballybrack wouldn't do that. They'd knock on his door, stop him in the street. That's a fair point there, I would say. Slap Happy says, you're welcome. Good bloke with integrity. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Swiss Chase, people are laughing in the chat there. CST. Allegedly, speculatively. I said it's allegedly speculatively. I'm not saying it again. People are like, it's 3 more. Von Malone says, stop giving them ideas, Ninja Knight. Do you know what? That's a point, Von Malone. A great point. Sometimes I do see that from people where they're kind of talking, oh, they'll do this next, they'll do that. And it happens. And then I'm like, sometimes I feel, am I guilty of giving that idea or of allowing that sort of thought? My thought, as I always try to push forward, is no, we shouldn't be doing this. And this is the plan, and this is what they're going to try and do. I don't think they should be allowed to do this. That's always my way of looking at things. It really is. But yeah, I was saying there, the Flash movie, terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, terrible. Transformers, terrible. Like, people are actually calling for Michael Bay to go back to Transformers because they're like, there wasn't a fine woman to be sawn. That wasn't a fine woman to be seen in that Transformers Rise of the Beast. And you're right. At least you had Megan Fox and the other one. What's the other one's name? Don't even know her name. Jason Statham's wife. Cardi, she was called. Anyway, that's what you used to have. Now you've got, what's your woman's name? Dominique Fisher or something like that. This frumpy looking thing. Anyway, Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, face-to-face verbal confrontation is their style, not the cowardly act of throwing bricks through windows. This has lefties written all over it, just like the stage guard attack in Fermoy. I would 100% doubt that people would do that. I really do. Especially when it comes to the author also. I'm just like, well, Boy Who Cried Wolf just comes to mind. End of the line, Johnson, Ninja Knight fun and RT is a joke, fun and lefty propaganda that they spew out. I agree. I do agree on that one. Jason Irish Red says Ninja Knight, the license fee should be halved and paid once every 4 years if at all. I don't think people should be paying for it if they feel like they don't want to be engaging in it. I really don't. Like, these are people now in the government that are trying to be like, well, you pay for Netflix and you don't watch everything on Netflix. What? Like, here's the thing. I get your reasoning where you're coming from when you say that, because that seems like a reasonable point. But people are buying into Netflix because the overwhelming majority of it is something that they want to watch and they've interest in. I don't know anybody that's my age that says, oh, I was sitting down and listen to RT News. If I did, I'd be like, what? In this day and age? Really? And they don't. So why would people fund something like that? Whereas these people, same people, by the way, are happy to fund Netflix. They're happy to fund Disney Plus because they're like, well, the content on it is content that I want to see and want to watch. I don't want to be watching RTE. And the reason for that is very simple. They don't think the program is good. They think everything on it is subpar. They think the way things are being moved and maneuvered in adverts and stuff like that, they don't like. They don't want to do it. They're just not interested in it. So you've become an obsolete model. And I mean, it's like if people said, all right, well, you're going to have to fund these places. Then you're starting to make it into a challenge then where people are going, I don't want to have to fund this. If you turn around to me tomorrow and said, you have to pay for Netflix. Like, I have a simple answer to that. Well, I can pay for it or I'm not going to pay for it. And I don't pay for it. So I'm like, no, I won't be paying for that. But if the choice, because I'm saying, well, I don't want to pay money to that streamer. I certainly don't want to pay money to Disney Plus either because I don't agree with what they're doing. So therefore, then the list of streamers is down. Paramount Plus, I'm like, well, maybe because you're pumping out good content like the likes of Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, Mary Kingstown. Yeah, cool. You see what I'm saying? But when you have an overwhelming majority of people that are going, I don't want anything to do with that company, well, then, you should be taking the likes of Netflix and Disney Plus as they are and saying, well, this is where we're at right now. If you want to make RTE into a streaming service, go ahead and see if people fund that then. But the ability and the audacity for you to say, I think we should make people fund it, and that's what you've been doing for a very long time, but you're trying to make them do it in another way, is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. If you're asking me, it's criminal, in my opinion. It's absolutely outrageous. Let's see, have a look now and see what's going on. Yeah, I've seen a couple of people there saying that in the chat there about the revenue and them looking to put it in parts of the property tax. Absolutely disgusting. Devaluing people's homes and everything like that. Nonsense. Absolute ridiculous stuff that's going on. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, did you hear that the Alphabet cult are apparently appalled by Jordan Henderson moving to Saudi Arabia? I just talked about that not too long ago. TV Sheepdog says, got me TV license in the door this week. I'm going to pay gladly, Ninja Knight. Like, oh, it's Derek McManus' birthday, is it? Happy birthday, Derek. Didn't know that. Good to see you and happy birthday to you, man. Hope it is your birthday. If someone now turns around and says, oh, you're only joking, I'd be like, no. The thing about Trump, I've seen a lot of people in the chat saying about Trump. Trump does say things that at times I'm like, well, that's weird. But sometimes he says other things that I'm like, I'm on board with that. So we'll wait and see. It's very weird how he's been with DeSantis, though. I thought that would have been the shoe-in for Trump president and DeSantis VP. Thought that would have been an easy one. Edmund Christoph says, Enoch Burke has been oddly quiet when it comes to the new education curriculum being introduced. I would have thought to have some interest in opposing that. He is on Twitter, so I must have a look and see if he's been posting anything there. Johanna Thornfelt is in here, says, hi Ninja and all, made it again, great listening in the gym. Good to see you here, listening in Australia. All's well there. Let's have a look now, hang on, I've seen something interesting there. Enoch signed over all his assets to his family. Smart man. He just has to declare himself bankrupt on their ends. Interesting. A lot of people are talking about it and they're like, well, we don't really know one way or the other. We'll see what way it goes. Sheepdog says, Mr. Burke has really put up a mirror to the Irish state and they're not happy on seeing their reflection. Oh, well, these bad guys are working in very hard ways to try and deceive people. Truth Seeker says, Ninja Knight, great work on the content. You should start asking people like Phil and GT, Derek Ploy onto the show. It's on a podcast. I think it'll generate big numbers. Yeah, no, big interest in doing it. I was doing it beforehand, but just didn't have the time. So, yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. We'll get involved in doing that for sure. Slap Happy says, Ivor Cummins did a great video on the climate stuff. Ivor Cummins is very, very good. Very consistent as well. Slap Happy says, being forced to pay for a service you don't use is extortion. Derek Man says, that's 14 allegedly speculatively now there. Take a drink, folks. That's not bad for 3 hours. That isn't bad at all now. So, yeah, I was saying earlier on there that talking to other people would be a good idea in channels. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think other people need to be open in channels as well, too. The more the merrier is what I say. Derek Man says, do a weekly shout out for other channels, Ninja Knight. Defo. CST says, Ninja Knight, you're doing a mighty job. Thanks very much, man. Much appreciated. Or lady, not sure. Gender neutral, maybe. Elena says, Ninja Knight, good night and thank you. You have replaced the crunchy. Nice. People giving good and kind words my way. Thanks very much there. Sharif says the Jays make Power Rangers. Yup, they certainly do. Sheepdog says, see where the state sanctioned left Mad Ones got the Think Local Festival cancelled. Ninja Night. I didn't say that at all. Jerome Reedy says, Ninja Night, good night. Well done to all the mods. Thanks very much to the mods. Mods do a phenomenal job here today, by the way. Axe says, Ninja Night, great conversation again, pal. Keep it going. Thank you. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. We've got Brian Keane that says there other protests on 5th can be on Unite. Good point. Good point. 2:30 p.m. Ninja Night says Blue Ground 1. I think big protests are very, very effective. But Brian, I will also say this. The ones that have had a big effect, and they've said it in the media, by the way, getting 3 hours in here now, and I'm starting to misspeak. Don't worry, lads, I'm checking out soon. They have said that multiple protests in different areas are a big problem and stretch them thin, So that's what they've said. That's what they've put out. Sheepdog says the rock identified as a brick by all accounts in Ninja. Brilliant. Armchair Limerick Nationalist says sound for the stream, Ninja. Thanks very much. Fenolo Murky says you're just anticipating the next move. Chess players do the same. Haven't ever played chess in my life, but do like to think that I have a very good idea of how to play checkers. Fenolo Murky sends 5 says nothing. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Thanking you indeed. Janie's in here, says hey, good to see you here. Emmanuel Godson says it's my birthday next week. I'm 49. Wow. Happy birthday next week. I'll give you a shout out then, man. And Levi. Janie says, hope you're well, Ninja. All's good here. Hope you're all well too. Hope all's good. Let's see. And we'll finish off. I'm nearly caught up with the chat. And there I am. All caught up. Slap Happy says, normally watch Nerd Rotic every Friday. You tempted me away, Ninja. Mighty praise. Much appreciated. I appreciate that. That's huge praise. I'm going to leave you now. So you'll be able to switch across to Nerd Rotic. So he does the Friday Night Tights there as well. Friday Night Tights has been an interesting topic on media lately, on social media. A lot of people have been chatting about it. So that's a pretty interesting topic to see pop up recently because few people haven't been happy with some of the guests that have been on it. I can see the points for sure. You've got a couple of people that are on it. In my humble opinion, only giving my opinion, you've got a couple of people that are on it that seem to be promoting their own brand and not pointing towards independence or anything like that and not trying to actively do that. You've got a comedian on it, and I don't think she's made me laugh once. So anyway, thanks for being in here is what I'm saying. Long and short of it there. Slappy, thanks. Slap Happy. So guys, thanks very much for being in here. Look after yourselves. Talk to you next week. God bless. A couple of videos coming up there now, and keep our lit.